and welcome to the MinnMax Show. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Serial Vasquez.
We don't even know if his mic is on.
Jeff Markiafava.
Hey!
Kyle Hilliard.
Hi.
Welcome home, everybody. Welcome home to the cold basement, the MinnMax
group.
studio.
Yeah.
My God, cohorts assembled for the first time in a couple of weeks here. What a rare treat. It's an honor to have you all. Number one question. Let's just get right to community emails here.
Okay.
Phil S. says, hey, I just want to know more about Kyle and his whole Gaming Ride Home podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I'm digging it so far. Real chill and news-focused without lacking personality.
Okay, that's a good, without lacking.
Yeah,
Right,
it sounded close to an
With
insult.
lacking personality.
He says, this podcast came out of nowhere. How did this come about and why now? Kyle, the floor is yours.
Oh, sure. Thank you. So I'm doing this thing, the Gaming Ride Home podcast. It's a daily 15-minute podcast.
Not a MinnMax thing.
Not a MinnMax thing. No, it focuses on gaming news. But they reached out to me a few months ago and told me about it. I like the idea of it. I just like the premise of like 15-minute podcast a day to just like catch up on gaming news specifically. But
Is it a bummer to listen to it? You have to listen to your own voice then?
Yeah, I listened to it twice before I publish it, and yeah, it's frustrating.
Sorry, Jeff, were you going for the same joke there?
No,
buddy?
and you recorded on your ride home. Is that how it is? It because the game.
Well, you listen to it on the ride home. I recorded into a nice little thing I set up in my house.
Seamless. But
Yeah.
people can search for Gaming Ride Home podcast.
Yeah, and it should like. If you're a MinnMax fan, like I'm still gonna do as much MinnMax as I can. Like even this week was like a little test run to see like can I do it all, and I feel pretty confident after this week that I can still do streams and still do the podcast and stuff like that. And the Ride Home guys they're all about it. They're like, yeah, keep freelancing, keep doing what you want to do, and then you have this as well.
Nice.
So it's going well, and I like it, and I hope if you listen to MinnMax, you'll check it out.
That's very cool.
Thanks for giving me a platform, Hanson.
Yeah, no problem. You also had corrections from last week where you didn't listen.
You want me to run down these real quick?
Yeah.
These are corrections for last week.
Cue corrections music, please.
Okay. You guys took you way too long to come up with God of War for being the best PS4 game. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's not a correction, though.
No.
It is.
I think it
Hanson,
is.
I heard your joke about me having the I Am 8-Bit Inside Collector's Edition. That was
Something
that
with
was
you
rude
effing
of
it or
you.
something?
Yeah.
Again, not a correction, not a factually inaccurate.
Let the man speak, Serial.
Okay.
He hasn't been here for a week.
Jeff, you forgot the very important reason that you don't want to change your Twitter handle that I selfishly came to you and warned you to not change your Twitter handle for, which is if you change your handle, you're going to lose your verification.
Oh, that's right.
supposed to tell him that, you fool.
You did bring that up, which I didn't care about. I tried emailing their support or whatever to ask, do I get to keep it or whatever. Their support doesn't. They don't care anymore.
Why would they care?
And
It's a free service.
and they
use it then.
don't do verification anymore.
Oh, really?
They don't.
No.
Yeah, I guess special instances or something.
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, the thing that announced it was the post was 2 years old, and they just stopped doing it, and they don't respond anymore. I don't think anyone's even working at Twitter anymore.
I think they
it's
just texted,
going.
They
It's
texted you
self-aware.
wrong number when you asked them about the name.
Anything else we got, Ron?
I wrote down you guys didn't talk about HQ trivia, but then you did at the end.
Yep.
So I retract that one.
So
Thanks
that's a
for
correction to
still-
your own correction?
Yeah, Cyril, you were right about Fez being the best. I don't
Okay.
fully remember the context there, but
One syllable words.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Game names.
Yeah.
The leaving your child joke would have been funnier with me here. I can confirm that. I think you
Okay.
directed it at Jeff. I mean, it didn't really make any sense.
Yeah, that didn't work.
Hanson, you sure do love the questions that people write in.
Oh, do I say I love
You
them
say
a
a
lot?
lot. You're like, I love this one. This is a good one.
I'm serious, man. This morning I was going through all the questions and comments that people submitted on Patreon, patreon.com/MinnMax, and just going through it, and I was like, what a plethora of good ideas. I have never thought about this, I've never considered it, and there's a certain sweet spot where it's an interesting question, but also a little factoid that I did not know. And we'll get to those in the back half of the show. But before that, we have a lot of other stuff. Oh,
one
sorry.
more.
Yeah.
Jeff, your brother knew the birthday of your best friend.
Oh my God! I never thought of that. It explains so much.
That's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
Do you want to pause so we can
No,
clear
we're
this up?
good. So on this episode, we're covering Xbox Series X. New details, question mark, but at least talking about the specs of the whole system. Next generation's here. We just have to get ready for it. A new Mega Man collection, Mega Man 0 and ZX. We'll talk all about that. Yes, Serial?
ZX.
Me too.
0ZX Legacy Collection.
Yes, it's all over the place with the naming. Then we'll talk about Vitamin Connection a little bit on Switch. Kyle, have you been playing that?
Yeah, I played the first 2 hours or so.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about some Platinum news, some Star Wars news, and then it's that time of the year where we have to pit video game movie adaptations against each other. And so this week it's going to be Sonic the Hedgehog versus Dragon Quest: Your Story, which is on Netflix right now, and it's an adaptation of Dragon Quest V, known as the best Dragon Quest, only one of the two Dragon Quest games that I've played through.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, because I went in with zero knowledge of Dragon Quest V.
Okay, you might be better off. We'll cover all that stuff. A lot to get to, and then we'll open up the Min Box, as Flaming Queso named it, and actually answer some wonderful community questions that are submitted on the Patreon. Thanks for your support, everybody.
So, was it worth it, Jeff?
It was worth it.
Yeah, I think it was.
I feel
honestly.
good.
For audio listeners, Jeff, upchucked his lunch all over the table, I believe. Let's see. Things for setting the table before we dive into the meat of this whole podcast is VGMCon. Still March 7th, which is a Saturday, and it's going to be at 9 p.m. We're going to have a video game trivia panel. I believe all four of us will be there. So This is not the next MinnMax community meetup, which, by the way, that's going to be most likely taking place around the middle of April. More details to come, hopefully very soon. But this is going to be a video game music convention that's being held here in the cities. We're going to go there, have some fun trivia for the community or whoever's in that audience, and might get rowdy. And again, there is an idea that my friend Grant came up with, which is, I am so excited to do this. I've never been this excited in my life. And so it'll be a fun opportunity to come by, say hi to us. It'll be a great time. VGMCon. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen. You do have to buy tickets, but check it out. It's going to be a cool event overall. There's going to be concerts and stuff like that. Also, weird thing, on Tuesday, I streamed Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII, which is that 2006 Final Fantasy VII game on PS2 starring Vincent Valentine. But it was a weird thing because I was streaming it with my best friend from 6th grade who got me into Final Fantasy VII. So it was a very stressful moment for me streaming of like, okay, let's put my friend Ronnie and Grant. I'm sorry, do you have a call, Jeff?
I'm sorry. I was trying to turn it off.
Number one, you spat all over the table. Number two, you're taking phone calls, knocking the mics off the table.
The first one was for comedy, okay?
Jesus. Anyways, if you want to watch us play Dirge of Cerberus, it's on the YouTube channel, or if you just want to meet some of my oldest friends and see where at least 70% of my personality comes from, you can actually track it back there. Okay, Xbox Series X. So Xbox posted, Phil Spencer blasted out to his 3 gazillion Twitter followers, said, hey, details about the next generation are here.
Yeah,
baby.
his byline was on the blog, too.
Yeah. By the way,
I guess he wrote that.
No way. That's always BS. But everybody ran it like, hey, Xbox Series X specs are revealed. They're revealed. Am I nuts? Like, there were not that many wildly new details here. Like, I actually went back and did like a custom time search on Google. It's like, they revealed like most of this information. There's a couple of like new ways that they're framing things. Like, okay, we have like what's their smart delivery. That's a terminology I haven't seen before. But okay, just for the basics here.
Yeah.
So Xbox Series X, they say, is our most powerful console ever powered. Yeah. Yeah, they're going that direction.
They're doing it.
Ever powered by our custom designed processor leveraging AMD's latest Zen 2 and RDNA architectures, delivering 4 times the processing power of an Xbox One and enabling developers to leverage 12 teraflops of GPU, twice that of an Xbox One X and more than 8 times the original Xbox One. So 12 teraflops, variable rate shading, hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing, quick resume for multiple games, very exciting.
Yeah.
What they call smart delivery, a ton of other details like that. But did anything strike you from this that we didn't know before?
I think the variable rate shading, I saw a quick breakdown of what that is basically like it's like the equivalent of like trying to like not focus on like rendering parts that are still versus rendering moving parts, so that would the short version being that it'll lead to more consistent frame rates since it's not working as hard to like render the entire scene the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure I butchered that, but like it's the idea that like they're using a new sort of it supports a technology that allows frame rates to be a little bit more consistent, which is good.
Yeah, I feel like they could have done more. It's a very techie announcement. It's amazing that it made as big of a splash as it did, considering there's not that much new stuff there. But I think overall it just speaks to how hot and hungry people are for the next generation, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just give us anything, even if it's just reconfirming 12 teraflops, which they mentioned before and everything.
That was new. And
that wasn't new. The teraflops thing was old.
That was old. What,
Yeah.
And the backwards compatibility, was that like, are these things that are just now fully confirmed?
Well,
or?
it's confusing because I feel like that was at least strongly implied. I can't imagine they
or assumed maybe,
because
but like,
all the wording it says is like, hey, 4 generations of Xbox are going to be playable here. Technically, it will upscale things without any work from the developers. It's like, okay, cool. We already kind of had that for Xbox One.
Yeah, if anything, I was expecting them to go a little bit further because I from what my understanding is that like the way that it can play Xbox One games is the same way that the Xbox One does, which is just through software backwards compatibility. It's not like a universal thing, right? It's not like you can pop in an Xbox.
Yeah, the games that are currently backwards compatible on Xbox One are the ones that will be backwards compatible on Series X.
They're basically confirming that what they have, like everything that works on the Xbox One will work on the Xbox Series X, right? That's
I don't know about that. Like not forward necessarily.
well,
right?
like the Xbox Series X will support everything that the Xbox One did. Is that,
yeah, but there will be Xbox Series X exclusive games, right?
So what I'm saying is like everything that worked on the Xbox One works on the Series X.
Oh, yes, yeah, you're right about that, I believe. Yeah.
And then I think they had the smart delivery thing, which I think is the other kind of thing that people were pretty surprised by.
Well, so this is a confusing one, yeah. So this is, I mean, the basic idea, but now they have a new terminology for it, right? So smart delivery, they say, this technology empowers you to buy a game once and know that whether you're playing it on the Xbox One or Xbox Series X, you're getting the right version of that game on whatever Xbox you're playing on. We're making the commitment to use smart delivery in all of our Xbox Game Studio titles, including Halo Infinite, ensuring you have only to purchase a title once in order to play the best available version for whichever Xbox console you choose to play on. The technology is available for all developers and publishers, and they can choose to use it for titles that will release on Xbox One first and come to the Series X later.
So it is a choice by third parties.
Apparently, yes. And so then this is also bundled quite nicely with the announcement from Cyberpunk, Jeff.
Yeah, which was the most interesting thing of all this, which is that they said that if you buy the Xbox One version of Cyberpunk, you will get the Xbox X version for free. Basically.
Which is awesome. And it's like, it takes a company as indie of a spirit as CD Projekt Red, which I understand some problems with the company overall, but still, like, that's a cool move that they're the first to be like, oh, this is going to be a default. And like at this stage of the game, that can set the trend for the entire generation.
Yeah.
And so I hope other publishers that are a little more corporate, a little more buttoned up, look at this and say, okay, well, they started it. We got to keep rolling with it.
Hopefully Sony also looks at that as well now that the Xbox is offering it, because that is a very real incentive to, if other companies continue to do that for Xbox specifically, that could change which console people are deciding which to get.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, Xbox would have set a standard of like, hey, if it works with the Xbox One, it has to, like, sort of like a PS4 Pro thing where it's like, hey, if it works with the Xbox One, it has to work with the Series X. Like, it's just like a default standard, but I can totally see why companies would want to do it like piecemeal for whatever reason.
Or just see that as an excuse to charge $10 more, like the last generation, right?
Yeah.
Where if you got,
like
I think Black Flag was the one where it was like you can take the PS3 version and put it in your PS4, but you're going to have to pay $10 for some reason.
Because everybody knows that costs $10 for us to deliver that data to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very scientific. And just to be clear, like, it's not that I'm not excited for next generation overall or the next Xbox. I just was confused why this was seen as a big reveal.
I guess it was just because it was a lot of confirmations coming officially from Microsoft, where everything else has been kind of staggered and like spread out, where this was like, here's a list, here's the teraflops, it's going to do 120 FPS, it's backwards compatible, HDMI is going to be better, the wireless controller is going to be better. Like, it was just like a nice list of everything. Yeah.
It's smart packaging. It was a smart delivery from Xbox.
Like I would rather see that kind of stuff here than like in a trailer or something, honestly. Just like a bullet point list of like technical things. You know?
So they say 120 frames per second support, which I believe in the reveal video they were just very confusing about saying, we'll show more frames per second than you've ever seen in your life, or something like that. It was very nebulous, but now it's like, okay, we can support 120. Yeah. How many games by the end of the generation do you think will use that?
I think
15?
A lot. I think a lot, yeah. Because that'll be a selling point of the game. Like, that'll be the reason to buy, Call of Duty on Series X, is because it's 120 versus 60.
Compared to the Series L or whatever the hell, the smaller version.
I think it'll be like a big part of it, for sure.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think it's going to be quickly forgotten.
I think it's total crap, right? Yeah. I mean, hasn't everything about science said that you can't see frame rates? higher than
I don't know.
60 or
I
whatever.
mean, people love playing above 60 on PC and stuff like that. I just don't think it's going to be a big deal this generation to have 120 frames per second.
Because everyone always imagines it's like, oh yeah, the benefit that we're going to get out of the next consoles is that we're going to play the games we have now, and obviously no one is going to be so like hungry to have like stronger textures or whatever,
Right.
that they'll sacrifice frame rate. So everything will run so much better. But I think what we're going to eventually get to, I think early on we're going to see a lot of 120 frame rate titles, but I think as time goes on, there's going to be more people just saying like, well, we can make it look better if we just have it run at 30 or 60 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, what's a good Xbox property where they could push it? Do you think, like, Battletoads? They'll be like, hey, it's running 120 on Xbox Series X, baby. Honestly, that would be kind of a fun, weird selling point for that.
So you don't think Infinite will have 120, like...
I think
out of the gate.
As
that's a
an
good
early
question.
launch title, I think there's a chance that it could.
I
It
just don't
could have a
mode.
setting where it's like if you want to set it for performance, it'll be 120.
I think that's likely, yeah.
I mean, I think everyone's leaning performance. I mean, do you guys... I always pick performance when I have the option, right? Like, I don't care about better textures and
Yeah.
The only time I ever chose like it not performance option was for God of War, but that was just because that was like the first time I had a 4K TV and I just wanted to see what that looked like.
Yeah.
But I eventually ended up switching it to performance, and even then it didn't necessarily like that. Even on Pro, it didn't necessarily perform at a solid 60. So.
Sure. The quick resume for multiple games, that's cool. That's like the first little thing. It's like, okay, there's something very tangible, I feel like, for the way I play games that I'd appreciate.
Yeah, that is
Right?
nice. I like that. As long as it works. I feel like it's inconsistent on Xbox One. Like, I feel like it works half the time. Like, sometimes, like, my game just won't resume. I don't know
really?
why. It's just, like, it's weird. So as long as it's, like, consistent and maybe, like, just, I don't know, make it work better this time around, like, that's great. I love that.
Have you guys had any new epiphanies about just debating how much doing that gen splitting will hurt them in the end? The idea that, like, well, this year could be huge for Halo Infinite, but I'll just play it on my Xbox One. Just having things be so fluid between generations. It's such a cool idea, but at the same time, how much is it going to hurt enthusiasm out of the gate?
I don't think it'll hurt it much. I mean, we kind of had it last gen, but everyone was still, eager to get, the
Yeah, but still, if they're
Xbox
going
One.
up against Horizon Zero Dawn 2, though, and that's not
You don't know
playable
that
on
for
PS4.
sure.
What's that?
We don't know that for sure though. Like
Which?
That they're going to be up against Horizon Zero.
No, but that's just a common
Whatever
assumption,
Sony has at launch.
right? Astrobot 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be a weird, confusing message. I understand the hype train's going to get rolling, and it might not be, a haymaker and do a lot of damage, but still, like, it's in the back of everybody's mind of like, well, I have a system right now where I can play that thing.
But I mean, weren't the One X and PS4 Pro like both significant and like big hits? Like, people just want the biggest and the best. If you're like a hardcore gamer, you want the best thing you can get. Like,
That's
casual
why that
gamers.
white Wii U never sold.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, honestly, but I mean, like, the casual gamer, the person who is like, oh, I want to play Halo, but I have an Xbox One, I'm not too worried about it. They're not probably going to play Halo Infinite until like 6 or 7 months after release anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it will still feel like a new generation, and even if the games are kind of backwards compatible between the two. Or,
Yeah.
Also, I imagine like it plays into Microsoft's larger strategy of being more software based than hardware based at this point, because like they want. I think they're making the gambit that they want Halo Infinite to sell as much as possible and not sort of limit its sales by like it being on a new console and the install base of a new console.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of criticism on Sony's end for being like, hey, where are your PlayStation 5 details? Why are you being so quiet? I get it. I'm very excited to learn about that stuff too, but I also feel like at the same time, outside of having the big February event, which I think some people expected, and apparently it's not happening because we're at the end of February now, it's like, what could they do? Release another Wired article? Do you want them to release the equivalent of this blog just on the PlayStation blog and just have just a couple more techie details?
Sure. Yeah.
Is that like, what's the stopgap between now and what you know about the PS5 versus just the big unveiling? Here's an hour live stream showing everything. Like, how much can they trickle out in that time? I think it's kind of tight, right?
I guess I could show the hardware maybe.
Yeah.
But like I think you want to save that for the big reveal though.
Still,
don't
you could
know.
have hardware reveal and then software reveal. I feel like that's an easy split they kind of did last time around with E3 versus the February event. So that's one way they could kind of divvy it up.
Yeah, but I don't miss this kind of announcement because this kind of announcement doesn't do a lot for me. I think a company can say, 12 teraflops, 16 teraflops. Like, I think most gamers have known for multiple generations now that what we can actually tell in terms of what games are going to look like because of these specs is always a little iffy. Even the like the outlets that really dive deep into these hardwares, that's usually their same conclusion as well. Of like, well, like Digital Foundry will
Yeah.
always, they do great hardware breakdowns and stuff, but it's, consoles are so specific and so, tailor made for what they do that it's hard to compare that to what a PC with similar specs will perform as.
Their conclusion is not like, well, this is like 5.8 teraflops of graphics we're seeing on the screen right now. Like, that's not ever their conclusion. It's just like, does it look nice to you? These are the recommended settings that you should have for, if you're running it on PC or whatever.
And it's always, the conclusion is always just kind of, we're going to have to wait and see how these games actually look like once it's out. And so I don't get a ton out of this. It's nice having some of that information confirmed, and the things like, being able to save multiple games like that. Those kind of details are interesting, but I guess I don't think that Sony has to, trip over themselves in order to get out specs at this point.
Right. I feel like the undercurrent at this point, and we talked about it a little bit with Last of Us 2 and Sony dropping out of PAX and now GDC, and also Koji Pro dropping out of GDC, but the coronavirus, it's, I think, quickly becoming the biggest news story in the year. Obviously, huge in other areas, but just in the gaming landscape. Like, at the end of the year when we do our top news story, like, the impacts of the coronavirus might be number one, because there is a decent chance, I mean, from, I'm no expert, but like, now is the time when they should be creating all the hardware for next generation. And if all of these factories in China are shut down, there's a chance there could be a delay of next gen, or like a weird trickled launch in like certain regions, that type of thing. Like, there's a very good chance at this point, which is crazy.
That could be why we don't know much about PS5 at this point, is because they're kind of like holding their breath to make sure that...
Because they don't want to get infected?
Well, they don't want to... Yeah, that too, right? But they don't want to like make promises about hardware that they're not going to be able to deliver because... the factories are just simply not available to manufacture these things.
But by the time they would have been planning the February event, I mean, Corona was still in some evil laboratory, I believe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but now, certainly, if they had it, I could see them being like, well, let's not promise anything, because this might end up being like a spring 2021 or whenever the world heals itself.
Yeah.
Or if they were waiting to learn more information about what the Xbox is going to offer.
Right.
If there are hardware... components that they haven't locked down yet because they were waiting to base those on what the competition is offering, then they could be in a tight squeeze in terms of what manufacturing can start supporting.
Right. Wild times. And you think about like the ramifications of if next gen is delayed, like what that means for a lot of different things. GameStop, like it gets complicated thinking about like, oh my God, this could really have a huge impact if this thing continues to spread, right? Hey, this Mega Man collection. Cyril, do you want to explain what this is and why we should be excited?
Well, it compiles 6 Mega Man games: Mega Man 0, 1 through 4, and Mega Man ZX and ZX Advent, which were basically the games that Capcom released, the Mega Man games that Capcom released on the GBA and DS. And I think for a while this was concurrent with the Mega Man Battle Network series, right?
Right.
And kind of its permutations. But this was a more direct continuation of Mega Man X than Battle Network ever was.
It was pretty wild. I love Battle Network. I love Legends. And I like Mega Man 2 a lot. And Mega Man Soccer. And that's like my and the old TV show.
And Battle and Chase.
That's right. And that's about it. So like jumping into these games, like I have never seen these. And I jumped right into Z3 because everybody online was saying that was the best one.
Okay.
What is this lore? It's like the Elf Wars going on, and X is coming back, but he has like a weird stutter. Like there is a confusing amount of lore and characters that I had no idea existed in the Mega Man universe in these games.
Yeah. It's weird. I played through most of 0 and I've played through a little bit of ZX. And it's weird how those two series are both about like legacy and the impact of like past generations, because the whole premise of 0 is that this is 100 years after X, basically.
Yeah.
Well, after the X series. Not exactly sure what point in the timeline it is, but the idea is that this one lady finds 0 100 years, and she kind of revives him, and he's kind of amnesia, so he doesn't remember. And X is the bad guy. He's trying to like he's kind of locking down. He's being kind of like an autocrat and being that kind of guy.
And how does that make you feel, Kyle? See your baby boy?
Intrigued.
And so, like, the idea is that he made all these replicas of himself, which are different colors. Like, it's like a black Mega Man or a green Mega Man, a blue Mega Man, or like a more aquatic blue Mega Man.
Sure.
And then a red Mega Man.
They all have the red gem in their foreheads.
Yeah, and so, that there's a whole struggle between 0 and X. And then in ZX, like it's these two characters who have no relation to Mega Man or Zero, but they are kind of like the chosen ones to receive these suits that are modeled after Mega Man and Zero.
So it's Vent or Ale, or you can choose to be the boy or the girl.
And then the other permutations of the suit that you get are those 4 replicas. There's like a green one that has wings, which is like what the green one had, black one, and then like a blue one that is aquatic. And so it's about like revering the past in these really weird ways, which is like kind of interesting tack for them to take, because like X always felt like the running through line of X for me was always like, when is this going to collide with Mega Man, like the regular series? Because like with it being called Mega Man X, there was always the implication that it was Mega Man 10 or something, like, which is they never said, right? But it's like you just kind of make that, you just kind of infer that.
Well, if you watch the old cartoon, X and Mega Man do meet, and it's a very triumphant moment.
And that's 100% canon. But like. That is, it leans into what I like about Mega Man, like latter day Mega Man X games, where they like the storylines and the lore gets super bonkers.
You love that?
I think it's kind of a cool place for them to go.
Can you explain what the Elf Wars are about?
Well, there are these things called cyber elves that are like program. Well, I don't. It would take too long to get into, but it's like, but like gameplay wise, I think they kind of build on X. So it's like you have dashings, you have wall dashes, things like that. Eventually in ZX you get an air dash, which is pretty cool. And so like I feel like the combat in Zero and ZX is maybe better because you focus on the saber stuff. So like you have a 3-hit combo, and then like you have a lot of like figuring out how to maximize damage against bosses. It's less about like finding the elemental weakness of like, oh, I beat this boss, so now I can go beat this boss, and more like I've just acquired like the lightning affinity for weapons, and that'll be effective against multiple bosses.
Right. Kyle, are you playing this too?
Yeah.
What do you think?
So I should like be as much of an expert as Serial is at this point, because like Zero is a sequel to X. Like it truly is.
Yeah.
Like it continues that storyline. But when it came out on Game Boy Advance originally, like I just could not get into it. I don't know why. And it's a game that I've returned to like often. Like when it came out on 3DS, I downloaded and tried it again. When it came out on Wii U, I bought it and I tried it again. And this is the first time that I've made like real progress in the game.
Nice.
I'm almost done with it.
What clicked this time?
I think
Elf Wars?
The thing for me was like I just looked up a walkthrough for like the first hour just to get over that first big hurdle, because it is a hard game.
Yes,
Yeah.
But I should point out that in this collection, the godsend for me is they have casual baby mode where it's like, oh, just enjoy the story, which sounds like, okay, what is this, like a BioShock game? And I turned it on, and it's like most of the minor enemies are one-hit kill.
Yeah.
But then it's like the bosses still take a little bit of work. I found like it was a perfect level of difficulty for a Mega Man idiot like myself.
Well, the other thing that it has, because there's 2 modes. There's one that just lets you add save points, basically.
Yeah.
Like you keep the main difficulty, but it just adds save points, which I really love.
That's really smart.
Like I love that, because it is like if you want to go the purest route, like you want to leave those off. But the thing that it really helps with is like the checkpoint system in Mega Man Zero is not great. Because like you don't get dropped right by the boss to try again. But if you turn this on, you can do that. So like you still get the joy of like figuring out the weaknesses and like memorizing the patterns and stuff like that. But it just removes this like, I don't know, 8 minutes of gameplay where you have to like sprint through the level again.
Yeah.
And so like that has just made it so much more interesting and so much more enjoyable for me. And I'm almost done with 0-1. So and I like it's honestly embarrassing that I haven't given this series.
We're all thinking it. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah.
It is structured a little differently in that like it's not like you don't have a boss select screen and you go to the missions. It's sort of a little bit more like Metroidvania in that you are given a mission and it's like, okay, go complete the mission and it'll be in this part of the world, and but you can traverse like between missions, you can kind of traverse that entire area however you want.
Like when I first played it on Game Boy Advance, that was the thing that really threw me off, because I was like, wait, am I supposed to go find these missions on my own? And I would like go explore the larger sort of hub area, and I couldn't like find anything, and like it was just those little hurdles that like gave me problems.
Right.
But the ZX games though, those I played a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't think I finished them, but I like got right up to the end on both of those.
That was the biggest shock to me, is I jumped into Z3, which was a mistake on my part, and then said, okay, L4's lore, no thanks. And then jumped into ZX, like I should see what it looks like on DS. I had never even looked at those games, or never on my radar, and I really like ZX.
It's cool.
I think this holds up pretty well.
I think like they do an interesting job of like trying to turn Mega Man games into these Metroidvania games. So like in Zero, the idea is that like instead of like, oh, you found a sub tank, you find a fairy that is like, or a cyber elf. Sorry, that you feed like these energy bits that you collect as you kill enemies, and then that's what turns into your sub tank. So there's a lot of like I guess optional grinding that you can do to just kill, like farm stuff to get those energy crystals so you can feed your like cyber elves so you can get health upgrades even.
I mean, even that was one of those things that just when I was younger playing on Game Boy Advance just became a hurdle for me. Because I was like, well, I know how X works. Like, where are the sub tanks? Where are the heart pieces? And then it was only now kind of like, well, how do I expand health? And looking that up, and I was like, oh, I have to find this cyber elf, and then I have to feed it bits and stuff.
Right.
Like, it's not really well explained in the game.
So that stuff isn't great. And then I think in ZX, I think the map system is bad.
Yes, it's like I could really use some more details there. Even like I got to a point where it's like, okay, now to teleport back to the main HQ or whatever after you completed missions, because you're like taking on different tasks and stuff, and then it's like, I forget where I'm supposed to be going for this. I guess I'll just wander around for a bit.
They'll tell you like, hey, this mission is in area E1.
Yeah.
And it won't be on your map, right? So you have to go explore. But it's like you would think, okay, well, to get to area D, what area what area do you think would connect to E?
C?
C?
Did you say
you
E
jump
or
back
D?
and forth 14 times.
You're saying two different kinds.
You want to go
the
to
next
area
letter,
A.
the next letter, or the previous letter.
Right, but it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Jeff, you fool. Why did you understand?
So you'll like go and explore and try to figure out where area E is, and it's not next to area D is the thing. So it's kind of like this frustrating. Well, okay, well, I guess I have to just look up a map and see like, okay, well, I guess this area, and they'll tell you like it's in the residential district. But it's like you haven't codified it as the residential district. You just said it's area like C3.
Yeah. But there's dumb stuff that I like too, where it's like the residential district, you laugh at that, but it's cool because you can transform, right? Because you get, the power of Mega Man X or whatever. So you're just like this little human who can crawl around and crawl underneath things, and you transform into cool looking Mega Man to blast stuff. But then when you're Mega Man, people in the residential district like won't talk to you. You're like, oh, you're a weirdo. Then you have to transform into a human to actually have conversations. So it's like, I think I'm just a sucker for transformations in any media, and like the idea of like, power is overwhelming, and then you turn into Mega Man. I think that stuff's cool.
Yeah. I've been enjoying it. Like I played both Zero and ZX just to get a hang of both. It's weird how I think. Is this the first game that maps the DS touchscreen to like a 2D interface? Because like
it is really
the World
weird.
Ends With You just like kind of omitted it entirely because
so it's on the right hand side of the screen, and on the right stick you can kind of
use the right stick to
at.
move it around, and you press ZR to click. Which I haven't used it at all in ZX yet, but maybe later on you do. But it's weird to see someone like it. This feels like you're playing some sort of ROM hack where they're like, okay, it was either this or like have it be like the vertical view, which doesn't work well on a monitor. So this is kind of what we went with.
Yeah.
I also just want to point out, like, across that whole series, Zero and ZX, I think it's like some of my favorite Mega Man art, like, period.
Yeah.
Like, I like the pixel art a lot. I love the way Zero looks dashing into like a sword swipe.
Yeah.
And like, I like the sort of the portraits for all the characters and stuff. It just has like a weird, I don't know, it almost feels like darker than X. In a weird way. I mean, it is like post-apocalyptic, so I don't know. But
how quickly did you go to the menu to turn off their smoothing, which they default on?
Yeah, that's how it was in the X collection too, which is like such a weird thing. But like I've always, even though Zero was this series that I struggled with in the past, like the art I've always really loved, and I love the way that game looks.
Yeah. What do you guys want from the future of Mega Man?
X9.
Well, that's the thing is that like this made me think that like. The reason Mega Man was around until it was like because it was mixing the nostalgic with like new entries, right? So even as like Mega Man X was going on, you got Mega Man 8. So like they would stagger classic Mega Mans with new renditions. So like while Mega Man X was going on, you got Mega Man X. You got Mega Man 8, Mega Man 8 and 9 were kind of after the Battle Network and the Mega Man Zero stuff, but we haven't had that like new form of Mega Man since like this in like 2007. I don't think we've gotten like a here's what Mega Man looks like now. There's not like a reboot or anything.
11 doesn't count for like the visual overhaul?
I don't think that's an overhaul though, because it's Mega Man 11. I'm talking about there being like another series of like another branch of Mega Man.
Like every generation has Mega Man.
Yeah, like a new version of Mega Man that is different, like wildly different, both like visually and in a gameplay sense from the rest of it.
So you would want a new branch?
I would want to see them like not feel so tethered to the idea of like, well, we have to make it a Mega Man game, and just say like, this is a game that has a new Mega Man in it, and so we're like taking some ideas for Mega Man, but also just using the Mega Man license as a way to, make a new game.
Maybe explore. Okay, let's just go full Metroidvania with this Mega Man, something like that.
Yeah.
Let's go back and actually make Mega Man Universe and that weird thing, which it was involved with, by the way. They made that debut trailer, which is very confusing.
But while they're doing that, they can have
Mega Man X9.
9 for me.
That is not like 7 or 8, because those games are bad.
And you would take X9 over 12 in a heartbeat?
Yeah, no, I don't like original Mega Man. Actively
Really?
dislike.
Actively dislike?
The only Mega Man game that I've beaten is 11.
Wow.
Yeah. X changes everything, man. The dash and it's the dash and the wall jump just make
Yeah,
it so
those
much
two
more
things
playable.
make you feel so much more maneuverable, and even playing Mega Man in 11,
It's hard to go back for me.
Yeah, it's, the movement just feels so stilted by comparison to me.
Right. It's very weird. Back at Game Informer, I went on the Mega Man 11 cover story, which was just it was a cream dream throw of a lifetime, as some people say. It was just fantastic to talk to so many old school Capcom developers who haven't done too many interviews. That's where we interviewed Oda, who was the director of 11, and he goes back. I mean, he directed Resident Evil 0, but then he was the one who we were talking about his work on the first Resident Evil. He's like, yeah, back when I started on it, we were working on Resident Evil for the Super Nintendo. And I was like, wait, what? Just these old school developers, no one's ever talked about this dude, and he's just letting it all fly. But his message, which was really interesting, and also Sachuya, who is the producer of the game, they're like, Mega Man 11, this is not a trial balloon. We're not just sending it out there to see maybe the world wants new Mega Man. Their message was, we have had to fight like hell internally. There's been a lot of reboots, but now Mega Man is back for good, was their message. And it's been a while now. 2018, I guess Mega Man 11 came out.
Then the Cartoon Network show that we all loved.
Powered Up, I wrote down.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fully Charged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there's only one season of that. It just quietly
I
died.
watched the first episode. It's totally distinct. It has nothing to do with the games or anything. It's weird.
Also, it totally stinks.
That too.
Yeah.
How are sales for 11?
It ended up selling over 1 million, which a game that budget didn't seem too intense. That was probably a lot of R&D for the robots to actually get it up to that point. But now that they have that tech there, you think that they could get back somewhat in that old groove of maybe not a Mega Man every year, but Mega Man every 2 years I could see, right?
But I would love that, the approach they took to 11. I wouldn't want X9 to look like that, have that cartoony look, but I would just like that sort of, I guess you could say attitude towards bringing back Mega Man, where it's very, looking toward the original entries, not trying to mix it up too much. I would love that.
But add something like the equivalent of the gear system into it.
Yeah, just no, don't play with it too much. Get that sort of standard X gameplay that I like. But
Although now thinking about it, what would Capcom have for launch of new generation? If Resident Evil 3 is out before new generation, I could see them just turning around Mega Man 12 just to have something at the launch.
Oh, maybe. Where's Monster Hunter at? I guess Iceborne
just
came
out
out
not too long ago. So the director of Monster Hunter World has been working on something in secret. Seems like obviously the successor, Monster Hunter World 2, whatever the hell they end up calling it. But I could see that taking another year or so. But what the hell do I know? But I don't know. I want them to be more bold, come up with something. Obviously, my dream is that they go back and revisit Mega Man Legends 3.
Yeah.
And they tried that.
Well,
I said they tried.
I want to go back and watch those 3DS trailers, by the way. By the way, another highlight from that trip was, I'm trying to remember. I was talking to the art director, I believe, for Mega Man 11, and I was at his desk, and he was showing off all this Mega Man 11 art and stuff. And then he said that he designed a lot of the Reaver bots for Mega Man Legends. And I was like, oh my God, I love Mega Man Legends. It's one of my favorite games. And he's like, oh. And then he goes in a folder and just pulled up an entire folder of Mega Man Legends 3 art. Capcom's like, don't, please, no. It was all the old stuff, But he's like, oh, I still have this. Clearly he was so proud of it. It's like, oh my God, it's right there. Anyways.
They drew it all. The next step is very easy, right?
It's right there. Let's see. Vitamin Connection, Kyle.
Yeah.
This is from WayForward, our dear friends at WayForward, who quietly just keep churning out a boatload of games.
But I don't know. I feel like you wouldn't know it's a WayForward game, though. Because, they sort of... They do a lot of different stuff, but they do kind of have a distinct style.
Throwback.
Yeah.
And in this one,
different.
it's like a throwback to a Nintendo Switch launch title. Is what it feels like.
It would have been a great launch title, yeah.
Somebody was talking about that online, that it feels like a launch title. They're totally right. So it's a Switch exclusive. It's called Vitamin Connection. And it looks like one of my favorite games, which I cannot pronounce, and I'm sorry. Maybe you can help me, Jeffem. Karin is how I've always pronounced it. Game Boy Advance rotating stick game. Do you feel confident you're Japanese enough to be able to pronounce it?
Where is it?
Okay, hang on. Karu. How would you pronounce that in flawless Japanese? In front of the mic, please.
Kururin.
Okay, great. There we go.
Flawless.
Anyways, so it kind of looks like a rotating stick, except it's a Joy-Con split in half, where it's like, okay, pink and blue, and then also, hey, you're a pill. going inside a human body.
Yeah, there's a nice disclaimer at the beginning that's like, don't take a lot of pills. Like, this is not quite how this works, but please enjoy the game.
That's right. And you're fighting off viruses and a bunch of stuff. It's very Corona themed. Great timing from Way Forward. They really know what they're doing.
Like Corona the beer or Corona the virus?
Oh, the virus.
the virus.
What's the difference, I say? Hey.
Pretty significant, I think, is the answer to that question.
Yeah, right on.
Do you think that people over at Corona were like, what the
Hey, any marketing's good marketing.
Like
you know?
brand awareness, I guess. But it's like
No. But it feels like a Snipper Clips. Or it feels like Affordable Space Adventures, which is one of the most underrated Wii U games. Remember that one,
Yeah.
Kyle?
Oh, yeah. I reviewed
so
it.
designed to be co-op, ideally. Have you been playing it co-op?
I played it by myself and showed it to my daughter and said,
Oh,
we
cool.
should play this. And she said, I like the music, and walked away.
Because the music is very J-pop out of the gate, at least.
It makes you think of, it's not like Katamari, but I just like really bright and colorful and like happy music. It made me think of Katamari in that way, you know?
This is a prime contender for probably a new category we should put at the end of the year, which is a game I want to love a lot more than I do. Where it's like, this is right up my alley, some funky, weird thing
Weird
utilizing.
co-op.
Yeah.
Did you try co-op at all?
Yeah, I tried both.
Okay.
So if you're playing it solo, I feel like it's a little too simple. It's like, okay, the map kind of looks like a Metroidvania. Maybe it's going to be navigating, learning new things. I was expecting some spin tension, you know, like our best...
You don't have to explain it. We know what you mean when you say spin tension.
You know, I wanted some navigational tension or something. It's just kind of...
Kuro, like you're spinning on its own, right? You're constantly
so you can
spinning.
speed it up a little
Where
bit.
this, it's just like you're manually rotating.
So you have to rotate around as you're navigating the small intestines of this person.
Yeah.
But it just feels a little bit too barren and simple. And then I kept running into like, okay, the boss fights especially feel like I need two people to do this. Because it's like dividing, there's one mode where it's like dividing the screen into two. And it's kind of like a rhythm game that seems like it's designed for like two people. Like you do this, then you do this. And when you're one person glancing back and forth, it's kind of a mess. And then later on as you progress in the game, you get a grappling hook, which has objectively the worst controls I've ever experienced in my life.
Okay.
Like it is just a nightmare, and it's like, okay, I need to tap out because this is designed for two people. So then went back, tried to play it co-op. My gaming partner was not the strongest gamer in the world, so it was a little bit tricky, but it's like one person kind of aims the beam, the other person can fire it, one person can rotate, stuff like that. And they have this, one of the boss fights is like, you kind of have to navigate things by having a reachy hand, like an extend a hand thing.
Yeah.
And when you're playing it co-op, the controls for it are just bonkers, where it uses the IR sensor on the Switch, and you like put your hand over the IR sensor, and then you determine the length of your stretchy arm hand by moving your hand away from the IR sensor. So it's like this weird motion that I've never done in a game, right? Of just, okay, not too far, but then you got to get closer. So it's a good, funky Switch game if you're into that.
Was that was that like the second boss fight, or is this much later?
It's
I'm trying to
pretty
figure out
early.
if I got to it.
I think you did, but if you're playing single player, it's not a thing.
I was playing single player, and I was playing on the Switch Lite, which doesn't have the IR sensor, I think. Oh. So like it didn't even wasn't even an option.
Weird. But in single player, it's just like standard controls for
gotcha.
Press the button to extend the thing. But
yeah.
So Vitamin Connection, I think I'll probably keep playing with it. It seems like co-op's the way to go.
Yeah.
But not the most glamorous project in the end. But hey, Vitamin Connection, pretty cool. Serial, you're a platinum guy, right?
Sure.
Did you see this Project GG stuff today?
Yeah, it was a mostly a CG trailer, right? I don't think they showed any gameplay, right?
Project CG.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Project CG, which I guess was like a very, it seems like a very classic Ultraman premise where the city's under attack by a giant monster, but you don't get to see anything. It's almost like they haven't fully developed all the assets that they need to show you what these things look like. But it's like a city's under attack by a monster. There's a dog that's about to die, and then a man steps in, or someone steps in and protects it, and then eventually they do a thing, and then they turn into a giant Ultraman-sized character.
Right, they have text on the screen saying "Hero of Steel."
Yeah. And that it is the conclusion to the Hero trilogy from Hideki Kamiya, which is strange.
Okay, so this is where it gets confusing. Yeah, so it's directed by Kamiya, which is very exciting. I think one of the strongest track records in video game directing history. Going back to Resident Evil 2, Beautiful Joe, we were just talking about on last week's podcast.
Yeah. It's weird that they have here produced by this character. Like they almost wanted it to be a stinger that it was directed by Hideki Kamiya, where it's like, here's the producer, and then this is the director, and everyone's supposed to go like, oh my god, it's Hideki Kamiya.
But then the way they frame it is, this is the powerful climax to the Hideki Kamiya superhero trilogy. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so it's in the same vein as A Beautiful Joe or A Wonderful 101.
Yeah, which is weird because like Beautiful Joe got a sequel. There are multiple Beautiful Joe.
No, this is the
games.
powerful climax. And then they connect even more by saying at the end, Project GG a Go-Go, which is a very Beautiful Joe reference in there and stuff. So some sort of Godzilla-esque Ultraman battling game seems to be the core of it.
Interesting, because I never played Wonderful 101, so I don't know what elements it's taking from that, other than like being very hero inspired.
Right.
But I'm curious to see what this ends up being, because they have that website with the 4 announcements, and first one was Wonderful 101 remastered, and then this is the second one, and then they mentioned that the last 2 are not remasters. So it's like,
oh really?
They're both, these are original games, and I think he mentioned something like, the last one is quote unquote interesting, which is kind of throwing the other one, the third one, kind of
stick with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this next one will be interesting. This one not so much.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see what else they have. I'm guessing neither of them are anything to do with Babylon's Fall because they already announced that.
Oh right, yeah, that game. They also say that in regards to Project GG, it's quote unlike any of the games we've made so far. It's going to be a 100% Platinum Games title for everything from its setting and characters to its game design and story to how it's promoted. Platinum Games is in full control.
Wait, so that feels like an oxymoron, right?
How so?
Like they're saying it's going to be a platinum game.
Yeah.
Like everything you love about platinum,
we're
it's
publishing
going to be in this
Yeah.
game, but it's going to be unlike anything we've made so far.
I think it's more speaking to like we're self-publishing this. We're not.
It's
like,
more just on the publishing side that they're
I think
like
it's
pitching
that
it?
it's like we are
Okay.
doing with this game whatever we want,
Okay,
versus
all right.
like this is the platinum game you've come to know and love.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
You also see the announcement on Wednesday, Harmonix Fuser.
I missed this one.
Oh, I love Harmonix. And it's a very odd announcement where they are basically making a new game, which is always great, but it's basically just a drop mix, except you can play it with a controller. Like there are no cards. Where it's about being a DJ, remixing things, taking requests from the crowd, which is very exciting. But like after several years of playing drop mix, like I've been doing this for a while. Like I guess doing it on a controller will be less intuitive. So hey, there's an option, I guess.
I don't know, maybe people are intimidated by buying cards and
I think
stuff,
that's probably just a way for them to kind of repurpose the tech. I believe like NCSoft is publishing it, but cool to see. I'm always rooting for Harmonix in a big way, but just go out and buy drop mix. It's like $10 everywhere.
I do wonder though if it being like a more traditional video game means that they're gonna make it like a campaign, like
They said there was a campaign in there.
So
cool.
maybe that's what they're focusing on versus just like the pure creation and the physicality of the cards and stuff.
Yeah, they had a couple different modes in drop mix, but yeah, I hear you. Kyle, did you see that Kotaku Star Wars article? Mm-hmm. Jason Schreier, our hero and savior, had a new article talking about a new exciting Star Wars game that we will never see.
Yeah, it was a Battlefront. I always get Field and Front mixed up. The Battlefront spin-off that was going to be kind of open world. Criterion was going to be involved. So
it was EA Vancouver primarily developing it,
Yeah.
and then they brought in Criterion, and Criterion wanted to put more of a story emphasis on it, but they say open world elements, but based on
So I guess
Battlefront 2's kind of tech and design.
with Criterion there, maybe the idea was you're getting into fun Star Wars vehicles and driving around.
They
I don't know.
insist. Yeah. It actually goes back to their Project Race game from E3 2014, wherever that was called, where you're in a hang glider as a Wookiee. You got everything there.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great. Let's play it.
But not going to happen.
Canceled.
And EA was trying to do what we were talking about with Capcom earlier of like, hey, according to this Kotaku article, that EA said, hey, we need something at the launch of New Gen. We scrapped the last open world game, which took some of the assets coming from Amy Hennig's game, which it's a confusing Star Wars saga here. More confusing than Rise of Skywalker, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so took some of those elements, canceled that game, tried to make this smaller game with open world elements, and now that one is also canceled.
Yeah. So there's just no Star Wars game at launch.
We'll never see another Star Wars game again. It's an odd saga, but in a very Schreier-like way. He always leaves these very juicy nuggets, like, well, this is common knowledge, but it's still fun to see. But he's like, so yeah, it turns out the only 2 Star Wars games in development now are the Jedi Fallen Order sequel at Respawn, which we all assumed is coming. It sold so well.
but no
like, oh,
confirmation,
Yeah, cool
right?
to see Kotaku confirmation. And then also what he calls a, quote, more unusual project from EA Motive.
Super Bombad Racing 2?
Super Bombad Racing 2. I'm so curious about what that could be.
What's the studio?
EA Motive. So they worked on Battlefront 2. Like Mitch Dyer from Live IGN is up there in Montreal.
Yeah.
Their studio is, for a fun, full connection, where Mass Effect Andromeda was developed. Like visiting that studio again is like, oh, EA Motive's right there. Also, fun fact, goes back to where Army of Two Devils Cartel was developed. So all those fans out there know that this is the exact same space. But they've been quiet since the launch of Battlefront 2. Like, I know there's been a lot of updates along the way.
But they're probably not involved with that, right? Because they were like focused on the campaign.
Right. And this was the studio that like Jade Raymond was involved with for a long time. She recently left to go to Oculus, though.
Yeah.
So it's probably that new. I mean, they were talking about for a while that it was a new IP, but I'm hoping it's some weird new storytelling centric take on Star Wars. That's
story focused seems like a safe bet, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll have anything to do with the High Republic stuff that Star Wars rolled out?
Yeah.
So that's interesting. You want to explain what that is?
So I guess they just announced that they're I don't know what it is exactly, but it's like an initiative across like I guess multiple forms of media that they're going to focus on like the I want to say it is Old Republic, right? Like the Old
So
Republic
it's not.
era.
So it's confusing.
It's even further back.
So no, High
it's
Republic.
in
I
the
don't
middle.
understand why this is confusing, Serial.
Okay.
High Republic is 200
It's more
years.
confusing than Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. So where do the cyber elves fit in?
So this is 200 years before the Skywalker saga. Old Republic is thousands of years.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's called old. Remember, that's why they're all walking around and be like, the Old Republic here.
I know that I'm old.
Yeah. So this is like what a lot of people thought one of the new films was going to be. Because I think there were some whisperings about like High Republic, this is a thing. And I think everybody online also was like, oh, that's genius. Because then they can have like younger Yoda, not baby Yoda, but just have Yoda as like some connecting tissue. Then the confusing thing is Star Wars revealed this YouTube video and also a post all about, hey, High Republic, it's going to be this exciting new era. We brought a bunch of storytellers to tell new stories, but it's just for, here we go. It will be explored through multiple voices in adult and young adult novels, children's books, and comics from a variety of publishers. It's like, oh, it's just for like their books at this point?
For words?
But then they also say it'll be set in an era when the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order are at their zenith, about 200 years before the events of The Phantom Menace. This period on the Star Wars timeline will not overlap with any of the filmed features or series currently planned for production, giving creators and partners a vast amount of room to tell Star Wars stories. So it doesn't say anything about games, but it's interesting that they make a point that like this is not where any of the films in development right now are set, which is kind of a bummer to me.
Yeah, because I think coming out of Rise of Skywalker, it definitely felt like, okay, I'm ready for them to do something else in the Star Wars universe that has nothing to do with these characters, which I would have been okay with. Or like even just have something like The Mandalorian, which is set during that timeline, but doesn't necessarily have the stakes or involvement of like, you know, a lot of Force stuff and, you know, that lineage. But yeah, I guess if they're going to say, well, we're actually doing with, you know, the movies and series and stuff, that's these two things are basically separate. Like that seems like a little bit of a bummer.
I wonder if they're just waiting for something to bubble up from that. Like they're like, here's the initiative. We got all these creators doing stuff, and then they're just going to kind of watch it and see if something sort of like comes up to the top.
Popular.
Yeah.
And
then
now
they're
we're
like,
going to base a
we'll
game
adapt
on
that,
it or
you know?
whatever.
Yeah. Now Rian Johnson, get in here, make that trilogy you're always talking about.
I still want that to happen.
Wouldn't you want to put money on it?
No, I don't know if it's gonna happen. I mean, he's already said he's working on Knives Out too, but
Yeah,
like,
isn't that weird?
I want those movies to exist. I love the idea of Johnson making more Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Or even if you bundle it and Feige from Marvel is producing his film, there's going to be some funky overlap going on there. Did you see that story on Wednesday that said, like Rian Johnson said something about how apparently Apple won't let villains use iPhones in their films?
Really? No, I didn't see that. Did you
This
read
is
that
like
or
a
something?
weird note. Yeah. There's an article about it.
They're all Android users or
touchy.
something.
Yeah. Oh, weird.
I bootleg Linux onto this thing.
Hiss.
Anyways, Kyle, Sonic the Hedgehog. Light spoilers. We're not going to spoil the ending, stuff like that. But just heads up that if you don't want to know anything about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, you might want to jump ahead.
You guys have not seen it? Just
I
me
have
and
not, I
Hanson?
have not seen it. I plan to
Yeah.
see it this weekend.
But hang
Okay.
on. Really?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go see
I
it.
want to.
It's fun.
My brother's in town. I'm gonna go see it with him.
Oh, that's nice. Your take is it's fun, Kyle.
I think it's fun. Yeah.
Not a fan, personally.
Not a fan. I mean, it's not like a great movie. I'm not gonna
Not even the
like,
baby Sonic.
I think that thing's dumb. Okay, there's so much to unpack here about the Sonic the Hedgehog film. Let's start on the positive. Kyle, what did you like about it?
the positive. Oh, you put me on the spot here. I mean, I think
You
I said
just
it was fun. I said it was fun.
I
mean,
think you got low standards, dude.
yeah. I mean, I guess the other thing is like maybe it was a matter of expectations. I went in with like the worst expectations, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm engaged like throughout, like. You know,
I'm engaged.
I am. Why are you insulting me for having a good time in a movie?
That's so insanely low for expectations. I just feel like this is kind of in the same bubble as Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
And like I liked aspects of Detective Pikachu.
I like Pikachu more. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely did as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like people are like, oh, this is surprisingly good. It's like, guys, this is not. We need to set our bar a little higher than this Sonic the Hedgehog movie that is primarily about a cop trying to get to San Francisco. Like, are you nuts?
There are some like running jokes that are funny. Like what do you call him? Like the Donut Master or something like that. Like you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And like Jim Carrey was entertaining. It's been a long time that since we've seen Jim Carrey play that kind of character, just this really broad sort of goofball.
Well,
you know,
I did see Dumb and Dumber 2, and it made me want to kill myself.
Maybe.
So I think that was the highlight, right?
Yeah.
Is just seeing, Jim Carrey's trying to do something with this, but then like a lot of the jokes in the script, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Like, thank God he has the force personality to kind of push through that, and even like Ben Schwartz at times, like, okay, I like his voice, I'm on board for this, but then when it's Sonic going into a tavern and starting a brawl, it's like, what is this? I leaned over to my friend Ron, and he was like, they could have written anything with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. The fact that they're like, and this is a whole sequence where Sonic really wants to go into a bar and hang out and ride a
why
mechanical
is he excited
bull.
about going in there? It was just an excuse to have the what from the X-Men films. What's that character?
The Quicksilver stuff.
Just having a Quicksilver sequence, you know.
So this is okay. We're not going to spoil the end of the movie or any like huge Easter eggs, but take it with a grain of salt, or not a grain of salt, but just everything is going to have some light spoilers for moments in Sonic. I hope that's okay.
Does Baby Sonic die?
I don't want to say anything, but this is my main problem with this movie is like they want to have the most cinematic, cool thing you can have, which is the Quicksilver stuff from like Days of Future Past of just, okay, what if he just stopped time, then he could go and tweak everybody, and then when they're in the middle of a bar, like brawl, and then go over and tweak everybody, put people's hands up their own butts or whatever, and then start timing, and then everyone's like, whoa, where am I? Like, it's a fun thing to look at. But there's a huge difference between a character that runs fast and a character that can literally stop time. And like this movie, has it ever been established in any Sonic fiction in any way that
this is what you're hung up on?
Yes, it's huge. It's everything.
Is it?
It makes no sense.
He goes really fast.
There's a difference between running fast and being able to slow down time.
I thought Quicksilver just ran fast.
Quicksilver just runs fast.
But he has like superpowers and stuff.
So does Sonic.
Quicksilver's superpower, though, is just moving fast.
Yeah, he doesn't
right?
stop time.
So is the implication then that Sonic the Hedgehog is living his second-to-second life in that slow-mo?
He can turn it on and off.
Well, that's
like
the implication of that Quicksilver scene, is that like it's not, he didn't slow down time. You are seeing the world through Quicksilver's eyes in that scene.
So I always got the impression that is how he's living his life.
Right. So so he's not slowing down time. He's just able to think more quickly than anyone else. So he's able to do
He can't possibly live his whole life like that.
That would be
torturous.
Switch that he turns on.
There's an X-Men comic that deals with this exact thing.
For like millions of years.
Right. And that would be part of the lore then. That would factor into the character, the personality. But this is what I'm hung up on. It's the same thing of just like the idea that Sonic, he runs fast. And there's like cool scenes.
Yeah.
I genuinely think like the baseball scene where he's playing baseball with himself, like that is a very fun scene.
Yeah.
I think it's very well done. But then the rest of the movie, when it's this nebulous thing of sometimes he can stop time and do whatever he wants, and sometimes he can't.
You are overthinking it, man. Like for sure. Like he just goes so fast that he perceives time. Like
that's not the same thing. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, in order to be able to like run as fast as he does, he'd have like being able to run fast is one thing, but being able to like move out of the way of the obstacles the way he does, like it's like his mind would have to think a lot more quickly in order to move through the city the way he does.
I just want somebody who's an expert on physics, space-time continuum, please let us know why that's a different thing, because I'm not smart enough to explain.
There are other elements of that movie that are bad, for sure. I just think this is
jokes,
I think this is it's a weird thing to me for you to get hung up on, because it's just like an excuse that he goes so fast that it creates a fun action sequence.
It's confusing.
You know?
But while we're hung up on it, I mean, the whole premise is absurd, because even if you're moving someone at a speed that's faster than moving a bullet, you're basically hitting them faster than a bullet. So like they would just crumple, and their bones would turn to dust.
Yeah, no, he does that with
butts
multiple people in the movie.
Oh, okay, I'm on board.
He does murder a lot of people.
I like the sequence where they're getting chased down by Robotnik, and the robots keep getting smaller and smaller. That's fun.
I like when
That's
they cut the roof off the truck.
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like it's. My expectations are like, you're right. Like we should have higher standards for this stuff. But the fact that there were moments where I like laughed and chuckled, like that was enough for me to be like, okay, this is like, I'm having a good time. Ben Schwartz is a fun Sonic.
I probably chuckled 4 times. throughout it. It's like, okay.
Which is 4 times more than I expected.
For sure, but like I just think people are like, okay, they redesigned it, so now it's good Sonic now. It's like this is still made by the people that had that original design and thought that was a good idea, and I think that carries through. Like little things would drive me insane, more so than the space-time continuum. But just the idea that like, okay, so he goes to Montana to live in a town called Green Hills. It's like, why not just call it Green Hill? Like, I don't understand why you're making it plural. Like, there's so many things that are so close to just, like, clear Sonic fan service. It's Green Hill Zone.
Yeah.
Why not just name the town Green Hill? Why Green Hills?
What's the difference?
Because it's Sonic! This should be named after Sonic things. Wouldn't that drive you nuts if they just pluralized some random Mega Man X thing for no reason?
It sounds more like Green Hills sounds like a real town to me than Green Hill.
What's the difference? I think there's totally a
Well,
Green Hill.
I feel like I can
Hills.
bounce this argument right back at you.
No, because one is Sonic, and in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, you should name the thing after the thing from the game, not change it for no reason. Because it sounds 20% more like a real town. Like, who gives a crap?
Are there any fart jokes in the movie?
There's so many fart jokes.
Yeah. There's a few.
Are there?
Yeah, he farts really hard, and then James Marsden says, "You better check your fur on that one, buddy."
Yeah.
Is there a scene where he runs really fast and
Is
he's
that a real
farting at the
thing?
same
That's a real
time?
thing. That's
So
a
it just
real thing.
That's a real
he
thing.
just leaves the fart smell across an entire city block because he's running so
I
fast.
think that's always assumed because
Yeah.
it's like a blue
It's
trail
very
behind
heavily
him.
Oh,
implied.
is that how he's able to run so fast?
Yeah. I like the interdimensional hopping. I like the mechanic of that in the movie.
Oh, just having portals and
yeah,
stuff?
I think
Yeah.
that was cool.
This
That owl at the beginning was very confusing.
there is an owl named Longclaw
Yeah.
that apparently is Sonic's mother
Never
or
been in a game as far as I know.
guardian
like
in
this
some way.
you should be more upset about than Hills.
No, Green Hills actually more. Because what's the implication, Kyle? Is the idea that because he's like, oh, I came from my home planet, ran around on this island. He just calls it an island instead of like Mobius, whatever it's called in the Sonic universe.
I wanted the whole movie to take place there, by the way.
But is the idea that that place was called Green Hill and that he searched out Green Hills in Montana because it reminded him of home? Because it's never made clear.
Maybe, yeah, I guess.
Or is it the other way around and he's going to go back to his island and call it after Green Hills, the town?
I
think you're thinking too far ahead.
Also, I don't understand when James Marsden's like, "What are you?" And he's like, "I'm a hedgehog. Can't you tell?"
And they just
Is
move
that
on.
supposed to be like a joke, like he's in disguise, so he's trying to pretend that he's a hedgehog, or does Sonic actually believe that he's a hedgehog?
He's delusional if he
He's
thinks that.
delusional. I think it was just a joke that he doesn't look anything like a hedgehog, right? And then we move on.
Really?
Yeah?
So that was just a joke. It's not like he was like, okay, my undercover persona.
No, I think it was a joke that it's like, like he said, I'm a hedgehog. And then it's like, well, obviously you don't look anything like a hedgehog. And then Jim Carrey walked in the kitchen and James Marsden punched him. So,
Yeah, that's true.
and then they talked about Olive Garden a couple times.
A suspicious amount.
Twice.
There's a lot of these things throughout the movie. The Green Hills thing is one of
so
them.
weird to me.
But then also, it's a sign of like larger themes of just like you're so close to just doing a thing that would make fans happy, and it's not a movie designed for fans. Just because they got the look right does not mean.
I disagree. I think there's a lot of fun like Sonic stuff in there. Like even the way I'm sorry, Serial, he defeats Robotnik in the end. The way he does it is like a Sonic the Hedgehog thing.
No, it is not. This is another scene that drives me insane. Okay, without any specifics, it's like okay. He's got to do a certain attack to get ready
He's
to
got
go
to jump
here.
on their heads, right? He's got to
I'm
jump
just
on
saying,
his head.
he doesn't do a spin dash in the film.
He rolls into a ball and bounces off Robotnik a couple times to defeat
Do
him.
the thing and make the sound.
But that's not
and
how
then
you do it
spin-
in the game. You jump in the air and hit him,
The spin dash, though, like the to actually
which
get
was
out
not
there.
in the first Sonic game.
Okay, it's in Sonic 2. It's such an iconic
This is the
thing.
first Sonic film. You can't put Sonic 2 stuff in.
I'm just
that's
saying-
why the post-credit sting wasn't earlier in
If
the
you're
film.
going to have him roll towards the enemy, just have him do the cool dash first.
He has to jump though. He has
I'm
to jump
saying
up in the
they
air to hit
should have
the
done the
enemy.
more satisfying thing instead of seeing this ball of fur kind of slowly rotate a little bit. It's not doing it, Kyle.
It's not doing it. It's funny because like we're arguing, but it's like it's not like I think it's a great movie or anything. I just thought it was
No.
like I gave it like barely a passing grade. You know,
I think that's very generous because it's like 63% Rotten Tomatoes, and it made me
Yeah, that's
angry
very
looking at it.
high,
Like,
yeah.
this is what people want. This is getting the pass now.
I will say, I mean, it feels like the people who are involved in the film, which I think you can say they were, like Schwartz is an admitted Sonic fan, you know, and like the people who made that movie grew up with Sonic and played Sonic, which is not what you can say for a lot of like older video game movies. Like we're hitting a generation now where the people who are making video game movies, actually have reverence for the material and played the games. Where in the past, like the people who made Lara Croft Tomb Raider, like with Angelina Jolie, they probably didn't play Tomb Raider.
But I just think in an era where I think there are some very smart movies being made, like Lego movies, stuff like that. It's like, okay, they understand. I feel like where culture's at, what fans want overall.
Yeah.
This is still very much more on the Dragon Ball Evolution side of the spectrum.
And you didn't get that from the original trailer. That they don't
I
know.
did, but I think the way people were talking about it and like the Rotten Tomatoes scores, like, okay, maybe this is smarter than I think. I think it is culturally a dumb movie.
I think Dragon Ball Evolution is harsh. I think it is.
It's more on that end of the spectrum than a Lego movie.
Yeah, I would put it right in the middle. Like I wouldn't put it closer to Evolution on this imaginary scale that we've created. But
where would you put Dragon Quest: Your Story?
Okay, is this the transition now?
Yes.
I guess you know what? It's tough for me to say because I'm not super familiar with Dragon Quest and specifically 5. I by the end of that movie I was super on board.
Really?
Yeah.
Hang on, without spoilers here.
Yeah.
Because of the ending?
No, moments even leading up to the ending. There were moments that I was like, wait, this is cool. And you know what it made me want to do is go play a mainline Dragon Quest game.
Ooh.
Which I've never done. Because all I've played are like Heroes and like Builders and stuff like that, where the stories are really just like, I can't skip the dialogue fast enough.
Right.
You know? Where this was like, on paper, it's like, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening here. Now, with all those nice things said, that movie's insane. Just like the pace, like the first 8 minutes of that movie, I watched it in like 3 chunks.
Yeah.
The first 8 minutes of that movie is like, the parents are dead. Like people are sold into slavery, and it's like a whole life has happened in the first 8 minutes.
It's
of that
a brutal
movie.
spot,
It's
and you watched
insane.
it too.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
Like it's a brutal thing because what's fun about the game is the scope of it. That like you age throughout the game, different stages of this main character's life. Like, that's
movie,
the hook.
That movie is an 80-hour RPG crammed into what, 2.5 hours?
I think it's under 2 hours.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think is
Felt
a
like 2.5
mistake. Like
hours.
because it's so beloved, I feel like they thought, okay, we have to leave in all these beats and stuff. But especially at the beginning, it's like, holy God, you guys, just trim out.
I felt like I had to
some
take
of this
notes.
stuff.
Like, and then like when stuff came back that was referenced in the beginning, I was like, wait, what? That was like a little half a minute sequence in the opening montage. Like, and then this character is so important to you at this point.
I know. You can leave out some details, and it's not like the level of recreation of like a Dragon Ball Z Kakarot or something like that, but it is stunning how much they try and keep from Dragon Quest V.
It's like they had a list of plot points that they had from the game storyline that they said, we are moving all of these into the column where it says movie plot points.
Yeah.
And like they just run through those, and I don't think it works. I don't think I like this movie. Like the ending, I think without spoiling anything, I think is good. But like
it's almost worth fast forwarding to the ending.
I would say like if years from now there's going to be like a hyper viral tweet of like, dude, do you guys remember how crazy the ending of this movie was?
Without overhyping it, like I do think
people left field. I
also was very into
I was
it.
like, what? Like,
yeah, we should record something for after the credits here where we talk a little bit about it. But I think that it's what annoys people about it who are big Dragon Quest V fans, because the rest of the movie is like, okay,
I can see that,
adaptation, and then not adaptation. And it's like, wait, what? And credits.
we skipped setting the table a little bit. You've played 5.
Yeah.
Cyril,
I've never. No.
You've never. So you and me went in totally blind because like the first
Yeah.
thing I did after I finished the movie was go read the plot summary of the game
oh,
on
wow.
Wikipedia.
I looked up like how much of this is like, and then
it's a lot. Like they hit a lot of the important stuff. Yeah.
The other thing that kind of bothered me is that it does not like they're using this same like anime house style that they use for the Saint Seiya show, which I also do not like. But like
the what?
Because they're and Netflix has an anime studio now, and a lot of it is like their CG production thing. And this, like, the characters and stuff look very similar to the Saint Seiya characters.
Okay.
They
And so
don't really
just
look
to say
very
that,
Toriyama-ish,
that's what I'm saying. Is that
They look more How to Train Your Dragon than Toriyama.
Exactly. So it's like that was a concurrent thing where I was like, I wish it just looked like a CG Toriyama thing does not sound bad, and they don't even like, accomplish that. It's like these characters do not look like they do. Like I saw the cover for Dragon Quest V, and I was like, oh, this looks way better than that movie.
I know, and the sad thing is like, well, if they do ever make a Chrono Trigger movie, like it would
This is
probably
what
end
it's
up
gonna
like
look
that because
like,
they
yeah.
don't want that Toriyama licensing fee or whatever the hell it ends up being, right, to actually bog that thing down.
Yeah.
But I liked it. Like it moved really fast. The ending is so weird. I liked it, but I totally get it. Fans are angry about that and the Toriyama thing. But like for a Dragon Quest movie on Netflix, if you're a Dragon Quest fan, at least I think you should scrub through and look at the action scenes, because like it's fun seeing them use like all the spells and even just like healing. There's a lot of really fun details, and I was like, oh, this is fun to see on the big screen. I think it's better than any Final Fantasy movie. And
I'm not going to question you on that. I'm not going to. Actually, Advent Children.
I'm a spiritual defender. I saw that in the theaters.
There are some fun moments. I think like there's a moment most of the way through the movie with Gertrude, which is like the slime character, where he figures out a clever thing to do with Gertrude that I thought that's pretty cool.
Yes, the slime is called Gertrude.
And he figures out a clever thing to do with
That's
it.
right. That's right. It's very
But
specific.
for the most part, it just seems like it's like we're gonna hit all the plot points. We're not really gonna like linger on any of them in a way that'll actually make any of this stuff make sense. It just feels like this weird whirlwind that it felt like a little bit of a mess to me. But like there are moments that I think I do like.
It is a mess. Like undoubtedly. But I like you ultimately like for the first like 20 minutes or so, I was like, man, I don't know. This is too much. Like I don't think this is working. But by the end, I was like, I liked that. Like I think I enjoyed that. And like I said, it makes me want to go play like Dragon Quest 11 would probably be the one
You
that
should
I'd jump
absolutely do
into.
that. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's just fun. Like especially seeing the magic spells. That's what really got me. Like, just seeing like a more dynamic attack, obviously a little more dynamic than the fights in Dragon Quest V or the old school Dragon Quest where you're just staring right at them, right? But like, okay, seeing what swoosh looks like and stuff is kind of fun. And I like the idea of having, instead of like the Final Fantasy movie problem where it's the too cool for school protagonist, like there's something fun about not only making a Dragon Quest character talk, which is crazy in this movie, but then that the protagonist is like the underdog throughout the entire movie and kind of like a goofball, constantly messing up. It's like, oh, this is a fun role to see instead of just the overconfident RPG protagonist.
He's a silent protagonist in the game? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Do you have other notes? It seems like you wrote all this stuff down.
Actually, I did, but we covered a lot of it. The healing thing I thought was like where they get to use the herbs to heal.
Right.
And like there's even a sequence where he kind of upgrades equipment almost in the middle of like a big boss fight, which is kind of cool.
Right.
So there's like little touches like that where I was like, okay, these people clearly are fans of the video game and have played the game, you know?
Hey, they're fans. We'll have some credits or some spoilers after the credits here. Hey, you know how this whole thing operates? You know what we're doing down here? We're
Patreon.
making. You got it. Yeah, I was going to go with a more eloquent response, but you got it. We're making content for folks that support us on Patreon. Patreon.com/MinnMax2Ns. If you support us at any tier, you get access to the Discord, which is the internet's Shangri-La, I believe. Nicest community on the internet, bar none. And then also, you can leave a question or comment or topic for us to cover on each episode of the MinnMax show. Every week we have a post and say, hey, submit your questions or comments now. And then people do it. And then we choose our absolute favorite. And then I'm 8-Bit ships them out something very nice. You can win some very cool stuff. So a lot of good options there in the Discord. If you like Get a Load of This as a segment, there's a constant stream of Get a Load of This in the MinnMax Discord where the entire community is posting things that are always interesting that we should get a load of.
We could have been cheating this entire time.
I know, we could just read off that whole thing. But if you like that segment, please check out the MinnMax Discord and consider supporting us on Patreon. We'd appreciate it. Hey, and look at this. This is the final week of Superhero Cinema Scoop supporting us on MinnMax. But we salute you for your service, Superhero Cinema Scoop.
Thank you.
And now, Superhero Cinema Scoop is a YouTube channel dedicated to bringing you all the news from upcoming superhero movies, shows, video games, and more. Check out Superhero Cinema Scoop on YouTube, or the audio-only version is available on most major podcast streaming services. This is Riley's last week supporting the show. These words are coming out of my mouth. And he would like to give a huge thank you to MinnMax and the MinnMax community for welcoming him and supporting his channel so much. His subscriber count has more than doubled, and the views keep going up. This has been a wonderful experience, and anyone who is considering supporting MinnMax with the $400 tier on Patreon should definitely do it. Thanks again from Superhero Cinema Scoop, and don't forget that cinema spelled with an S. Thanks.
Thanks for throwing an ad for us in
he
there.
turned that into an advertisement.
That
for
was
us.
very confusing. I swear to God, he's like, hey, can I give you a new thing for you to read? And I was like, yeah, no problem. I don't think I'd read it until like right now. I just got me to paste
It's
it.
very
That's
sweet.
very
And I'm
nice.
also glad that it was good for him. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Leave a nice comment on Riley's YouTube channel there. And then he said, hey, because it's my last week, I wanted to ask you all, what's your favorite superhero movie?
Oh,
That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like it's a boring answer, but I still love Dark Knight so much.
Yeah,
like that
number
movie is so important to me.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, it was always like, oh, Spider-Man 2. And I was like, okay, Avengers 1, I guess.
Maybe Spider-Verse now. You know.
Oh, interesting.
I said the Spider-Verse or Homecoming for me.
Yeah, I could see it being Civil War for me at this point.
I think mine is Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, funny
Ragnarok's
lad,
Because
eh?
it's fun.
Very nice. So that's very sweet, Riley. Thanks for your support for a couple months here at MinnMax. We appreciate it, and best of luck with the YouTube channel. And there are slots available if you'd like us to plug your Kickstarter, project, business, family members, but not in a freaky way. Just let us know. Support us on Patreon, and we're happy to help you out. And thanks to I Am 8-Bit for supporting MinnMax in a big way. Not only have they helped us for so many years at Game Informer with Extra Life, sending us amazing things, but they have been helping out our community by offering several things. First of all, their online store where they have amazing things. They have the Inside Collector's Edition, a bunch of amazing video game soundtracks on vinyl. Like Cuphead is an amazing deluxe vinyl thing you should check out there. And if you enter the promo code MinnMax, you get 10% off your entire order, which, hey, they just volunteered. It's very generous of them. So please take advantage of that. Check out their store. There's a lot of very fun stuff there. But then also, they wanted us to point out that Kentucky Route Zero, they have a physical version for PS4 and Switch on their store, so please check that out, including the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which, Cyril, you're a big fan of the soundtrack and
I
the
like
game.
the soundtrack a lot.
JV Gwaltney,
and the game.
Yeah, JV Gwaltney, he said it's like his third favorite game of all time now. Like, it is absurd the amount of love. There is a fan base for that game.
He's not alone.
Good. Yeah, get in on it for sure. For more information on this soundtrack and the physical version of Kentucky Route Zero on the site for I'm 8-Bit, please call 1-858-943-6579. Jeff, one more time. Take it away.
1-843.
Nope.
Stop.
69.
Nope.
420.
1-858-943-6579. Thanks, I'm 8-Bit. Go
Thank
support
you.
them. Check out their store. And now, let's figure out what the I'm 8-Bit question of the week is by diving into the MinnBox. Ready?
Ready.
Witty nickname here. Thank you for supporting us. Says, hey, not to get too maudlin, but I was thinking about E3 the other day and found myself wondering if the shocking surprise appearance by Keanu Reeves, both in Cyberpunk and on the stage, will end up being the last great E3 moment. I know E3's in a tough spot. We were talking about it not too long ago, but there's still going to be a lot of fun to be had at E3.
Who's the acronym for the people that run E3? Why
ESA?
The ESA, like their big goal is to chase that Keanu Reeves moment and like track down celebrities specifically. Like that's what they want, you know?
Well, we all remember that amazing moment from Joseph Gordon-Levitt where he came out to talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2.
All right.
Just more stuff like that, man. Gamer
That
stuff.
one guy brought his dog for Ghost Recon.
Oh, that's right. That was. Talk about a gaming moment there. One guy made us look at his dog. But Witty nickname
you can
says
pet the dog.
says you guys have covered and been to more than 0 of these shows, which gives you more insight than I have. So I'm wondering, what's your favorite personal E3 moment, whether you were there to see it or not? The big bucket of good E3 moments.
Yeah.
It's still the bottom of an Avatar's shoe.
So how
the Kinect.
I've actually never been to any of the press conferences in the crowd.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if have any of you guys ever done?
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we had our like Game Informer booth where a lot of those moments were super fun. I go to it a lot, but the sort of Xbox One versus PS4 stuff was super fun, and that trading lending a game to a friend was like, it always stands out to me as being just this moment that we were all just like, this is insane, And I also remember like Kingdom Hearts 3 finally getting announced, and like Kim Wallace just like losing her mind, just like standing up and like dancing, which was super fun, stuff like that.
It is very nice.
Yeah, my answer was the Xbox One because we were watching that entire press conference, or not the PS4 press conference afterwards, and we were just all completely blown away at how well it was going for them and how insane the crowd was.
It's weird to root for a corporation, but it's like, dunk on that other mega corporation.
Yeah.
They're doing it. You get us.
I think it just felt bold at the time. I mean, even now, even in retrospect, it still feels bold, but it was just unexpected.
to be that direct about it.
Yeah.
And then another classic E3 moment, after we were in getting the booth ready and stuff, but Tim Turry and a couple other people, they went out to go out and look around on the show floor, to get a sneak peek. And while he was doing it, he decided to start taking pictures of the booths, which we were explicitly told not to do. And some security guard came up and just said, "Why would you do that?" And that line has been said 1,000 times in the Game Informer office over the past decade.
From.
Yes. So that was always very good.
Did he make him delete the photos or anything?
I don't know. I would think so. Maybe. I think he just took his phone away, and Tim has never been allowed to have a phone since.
Legally barred from owning a phone.
That's right.
So don't hire Tim Turry as your corporate spy, I think.
That's
is
right.
the takeaway.
Please.
Sony.
And Fam says, hey, do you guys watch or listen to commentaries by directors in movies? If so, what's been your favorite commentary in a film? Also, a weird idea popped into my head. Commentaries for video games. Hypothetically, there would be a sequence or physical location in the game that would trigger commentary by developers. What do you think of this dumb idea? I think it's such a good idea that Valve thought of it a
Valve
while
has
ago.
done it for years.
And so Double Fine's done it a couple times too. But it is a great idea.
Yeah, definitely all games should have a commentary
I would love
mode.
it, yeah.
Just slap it in there.
Love director's commentary. Huge fan. My favorite director's commentary of all time is from a little film called Cannibal the Musical.
Oh, that's right.
It's Trey Parker and Matt Stone's student film that they made in college. It's a musical about a historical event involving cannibalism. And they were pretty close to... South Park was a success at that point, but like still early, you know? And they get progressively more and more wasted over the course of the commentary to the point where like it actually cuts out for a good 10 minutes like later and then they come back and they're like, oh, sorry, we broke something. But like that whole movie, Cannibal the Musical, like Trey Parker wrote about this woman that like broke his heart and like left him for an a cappella singer right before he became a huge success. And I just like, there's this point in the commentary where he's so drunk and he's just like, well, she left me. And now I'm worth $1 million. And he just starts going, whoops. Whoops. It's so good. I think you can actually find it on YouTube. Like, you can
want to
just
do it because it's
listen
probably
to
like the most
director's commentary.
revealing interview going by the way for like who they really are.
Because he talks a lot about like how his heart was like genuinely broken by this woman and how it like really affected his life in a big way and resulted in this insane comedy movie about a cannibal. Like it's bonkers. Yeah. So I love director's commentary. I always seek out director's commentary.
Yeah, I don't really like buying physical movies anymore, but I wish there's just some way to download. Like I know Ryan Johnson released like the Knives Out commentary track and stuff as like a standalone thing. You could even listen to it in the theater, which I think is incredible.
Yeah.
I would happily pay $5 for movie commentary tracks.
Netflix just needs to start doing it.
100%.
They have 10 different audio tracks that you can choose from already on shows. They just need to sew up the rights to have, and they should just be doing it for their own movies. I don't know why they wouldn't.
Also, they're in such a weird spot too, where maybe it's just because I was into The Irishman and looked too many things online, looked up too many things, but like my YouTube feed for months was just like bonus features for The Irishman because I feel like, oh, it's a Netflix film, so I don't know what to do with them. I guess I'll just release them online, which is all right, but it just feels like there should be a way to bundle that in. Well, like having some option.
They do with the main conversation that.
Huh?
Robert De Niro and
you're talking about this. So where is that? That's just like a separate video in Netflix?
It popped up once I finished the movie. It was just this is what's coming up next.
See, I saw Irishman in the theater. So I'm not familiar with how your streamers were.
Yes.
But when I think of like commentary tracks and what I spent the most time with, I love news radio. And I went through every news radio commentary track for that entire show.
Yeah.
Which... it was, a good lesson in how not to do commentary tracks at times because a lot of it was just like, what's happening? Either they were confused about what was happening in the episode, or they were just like shutting up and just watching it. But still, like, it's kind of fun to hear like Maura Tierney like trying to call Andy Dick and like hold the phone up to the mic. Like it's just like a weird collection.
Yeah. Arrested Development commentary has some of that stuff where they're calling each other. And there's also I listen to a lot of director's commentary, so this might feel random, but like I really loved the movie SLC Punk when I was in high school. And that movie has a really good commentary, but it's very clear that Matthew Lillard does not understand how director's commentary works and keeps like trying to get everyone to stop talking. He's like, no, this part's really great. Guys, we should like watch this. And then like they all pause for a minute and the director's like, no, everyone's seen this movie. They're not watching this movie for the first time, Matthew.
So frustrating.
Which I love.
Where do you stand on the common thing of the commentary tracks being recorded before the movie's out? So it's kind of like this weird time capsule, so they're unable to react to the reaction. Because I think it happens a lot. They normally record that.
I mean, I'll take that over no commentary, obviously. But I would like to have them be able to reflect on it in a a weird way.
Yeah.
So I got some more. Some more commentary.
Well, I watched all of the commentary tracks on the Shaun of the Dead DVD, which is like
those are good.
Edgar Wright, and then like they had different groups of actors. Basically, I think it was like 4 or 5 that they had total.
That's really fun.
And I went back and watched all of those. Like
Scott Pilgrim does a similar thing.
Yeah, and then I watched like some, not all of the David Simon talking about The Wire on the DVDs, and like the one for the first episode is kind of interesting because he talks about how in the first episode there's like a flashback about like this guy pointing to someone in a courtroom when you see them at the end of the episode. And I guess that was something that like the studio had wanted to put in because like, oh, this show is so dense, no one's going to be able to follow it. That's the guy from earlier in the episode. And then he talked like, yeah, I'll put it in the show. But then like he, I guess, ended up arguing with like no, people are gonna take to this style of storytelling. So that's why there's one flashback in the first episode of The Wire, and you never see that kind of thing again.
That's interesting.
So if you have the DVDs, I'm guessing they're on the Blu-rays too, but
Yeah.
those are good. Those are good to watch.
I'm driven insane that Spielberg has never done a commentary track.
Yeah.
I think that's outrageous. And then even his best buddy, George Lucas, like, I remember when I bought the Star Wars DVDs, I was like, oh man, George Lucas commentary or Star Wars commentary is going to be great. And he was like, it's the worst form of commentary. I don't know if you remember this, but it's like, okay, if there's a scene, then they'll just play some 2-minute chunk of like George Lucas talking vaguely about the scene, but it's not like he's watching the movie. And then it's just like silence or just the movie itself for the next 10 minutes. And like, okay, now here's a clip of Carrie Fisher talking about what this scene was vaguely like. It's just like, it's like you want that human interaction, you know?
Yeah, George Lucas is not to human interaction. It's in his contract.
The other one that I was going to recommend, I haven't actually seen it, but I've just heard excerpts from it, which is the Armageddon soundtrack.
Oh yes,
very fun to
I
look
feel
up.
like I know the clip that you're about to bring up
because Ben Affleck was just drunk and like complaining about Jerry Bruckheimer the entire time.
Yeah.
And then the commentary,
Michael Bay.
Yes. And then Michael Bay's contributions to it were all like super demeaning to the other people who worked on it and stuff. But I don't think they were recorded at the same time. They just put them all together, and so then it would be, you know, like Ben Affleck would add stupid sound effects to it, to like, you know, an explosion or whatever, and then it would be Bruce Willis saying, "Yeah, my stunt double almost died during that moment. It was very dangerous." So it sounds like a real gem. If
That's
you can
true.
Find it. Yeah.
And if you're a Patreon supporter at the $5 tier, you get access to our Star Wars commentaries that are recorded with Ross, the Star Wars guy. I'd love to do more commentaries.
Is that his official name now? By the way?
Yeah, it is actually.
good for
He
him.
changed it legally. But I was thinking about this recently. I was like, you know, it'd be fun. I have a list of movies that I want to do commentary tracks for in the audio feed. I was like, we should just put that up as a poll on Patreon, and people can choose what we record a commentary track for. Like, why not let the $10 supporters vote? I think that'd be super fun. So look forward to more commentaries in the future, no matter what. Right, Kyle?
Yes.
Right. Rushton Majumder says, who would win in a rock climbing competition between Wander from Shadow of the Colossus and Link from Breath of the Wild?
Oh,
I think Wander.
Wander, right?
well, Link can climb literally anything.
Yeah, but
and Wander can
he's
only
got
climb
that
But
stairs.
stamina
then he runs out of stamina
So
after
does
like
Wander.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Wander, like he. Like,
Is this Link at the start of Breath of the Wild or at the end when there's like multiple layers of grip?
I think Link still wins because if you're in Shadow of the Colossus, if you're Wander and you're hanging on,
Yeah.
if you're not moving, you're still losing stamina. If you stop moving as Link does not lose stamina.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a good
Okay.
point.
Definitive. There we go. Give it to Linkle.
if anyone has Disney Plus out there,
Yeah.
have you seen Free Solo?
Yeah.
The movie?
Is that on there?
That- yes. And
Isn't
that
that
is
amazing?
insane. I've never had a movie give me heebie-jeebies like that because it's
Since Jeepers Creepers.
yes. But it's just about a solo mountain climber who I can't remember the mountain, something in Yosemite Park.
Yeah.
But it's a 3,000-foot mountain climb that he does without any ropes. Is basically what he's building up to.
You're talking about it like it's a deep cut. It won Best Documentary of the Year. Like, it was a big deal when it
no
came
one
out.
follows documentaries, dude.
But yes, you should watch Free Solo because like there's especially the best sequence of the entire movie. I don't know if we're on the same page, but there's a sequence where it's like, all right, it's like a bank heist. Like, let's break down how do we get up this route. And it's like zooming in, like chalk sketches, like this is notable for this. Then you have to get past this. Then you have to get past this. And like seeing that, especially in a documentary format, is so much fun of just like, oh my God, now I know the exact point he's at and why this is challenging. It's, like, mwah. It's very good. Plus, without spoiling
Disney Plus.
anything, that's right, Disney Plus, without spoiling anything, like, it's interesting because like, oh, that sounds like a monumental task. I can't wait to just watch this visually. And then you watch it and realize, oh, I think the real mountain being climbed is in this guy's heart and mind.
Yeah.
Like he is an interesting character. and
There's
it's
a,
like, oh
there's a lot
boy.
of character building kind of stuff, even though
Yeah.
he's a real human being.
How much do you look up to him, scale of 1 to 10?
Not that much. He's kind of crazy and seems like kind of a bad person.
What about literally looking up at him?
Oh yeah, then it's like. But the answer is that guy, right? He's the best mountain climber.
Yes.
He beats them both.
Wait,
There
so
you go,
when
all right.
when he stops climbing, does he run out of stamina though?
Oh, good question.
No, he doesn't. Oh.
Yeah, he never runs out of stamina, dude.
That's crazy.
Mike Sweet says, in the aspect of getting better, what is a moment in your life that you could feel yourself getting better? Mentally, physically, professionally, etc.
That's I like that.
Etc.
Take it away, Jeff.
Yeah. I think it's not. is a series of specific moments where whenever I do commit myself to exercising, after a certain period of time, there's that very nice moment where you're doing the same kind of exercise and you think, hey, this is actually getting easier. And like, I'm doing it faster. I do burpees because I'm a lazy exerciser, but they do the full body. So
And that's where you drink a lot of bubbly?
yeah. Okay. And then you kind of you crunch your abs and then you burp as hard as you can. But that's the exercise that I do just because you can do you do as many as you can and then you're just done for the day. You don't have to do a bunch of different weights and stuff like that.
Do you like wake up and do that? Is that like a first thing, or like when do you do it?
Sometimes it
In the
depends.
shower? Or?
Yeah, in the shower mostly. But after you do them for, a week or so, you start to notice that they're getting easier and then you can do more of them, and that kind of progress feels
Especially,
good.
If you don't exercise much, like me, it's the best time to start exercising just for that progress. Because starting at 0, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Even just, the one time in my life I trained for like a 5K, it's like, it's crazy that how much progress I can make in a short period of time. And not to turn into the Jock Cast, which is going to be an upcoming thing in our podcast network now. But
We're a podcast network now.
that's right. I think we technically are.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on a second.
Yeah, I guess we are. We have multiple shows.
What are we, some sort of podcast? It's like, that's the framing for the entire thing, John. What are you talking about? New show's coming soon, by the way.
Patreon?
Anyways, the point is, friend Dave Clapp, he let me borrow his bench press. Is that what you call that? Sitting out there. And like, because
your
it's
God
just
of Gym.
my God of Gym simulation. Yeah. And because it's like right outside the doors of the MinnMax studio, every time I'm walking by, it's like, I'm going to lift some weights. I've been losing my mind. I am on that thing all the time because it's like your burpee thing.
It's
like,
literal God of Gym now.
that's right. It's just so quick and easy.
Eating
And
salami.
and yeah, that's right. But I feel so much better after doing that every single time. Whereas like I've been doing push-ups for years. You wouldn't know it if you saw me. But it's like, it's always like, I don't know if I want to do it. And like, sometimes it makes me feel okay. But again, starting from 0 probably. But every time I get off that bench press, like I feel so good about myself, which is a very rare thing for me physically. But like I really, really love it. And seeing the numbers already going up and up and up. It's like, oh, okay. I put more weight on. And now I can already do the same number of reps that these are called reps, right? Is that right?
You asking me?
I don't know. The same number of lifts that I used to do on the old weights, and now I can stack more on and then work my way up to that. Like it's very satisfying.
Yeah. If you have a pull-up bar,
Yeah. Do I ever?
the secret to those, if you have like the kind that go in the doorway,
Yeah.
the secret is you just leave it there all the time. And then anytime you pass through that
course.
doorway, you make yourself do a couple.
Yeah. Have you ever done one in my house?
No.
On your frequent trips to the bathroom?
It's in the bathroom?
It's on the way to the bathroom. It's right there. You walked under it like mistletoe 14 times.
I never
Today.
noticed.
Why do you think Hanson keeps trying to kiss you there?
Yes.
Oh, he's trying to kiss me everywhere.
Mwah, mwah. Victor Pham says, in the interest of getting better and more open-minded, what do you think it would take for you to get into a game genre that you're typically not a fan of? That's a good question. For instance, what would it take for Jefflin to get into fighting games or Hanson to get into stylish action games? A good one?
I mean, you joke, but
You're a joke.
That
You're
is-
a jerk. You're a joke jerk.
you're a joke jerk.
I know. There's a good one.
But it does take like because I don't really like visual novels. But everyone's losing their mind over Kentucky Route Zero, and that's I think it's fair to call that a visual novel, right? Or is that
It's a little
unfair?
more
of an
involved in a
adventure
visual
game?
one
novel,
notch
but
above that.
It's
yeah.
a more adventure game than
Maybe not the best example, but like if someone's like, this is like the apex of the genre, like yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah, for sure.
And then if it doesn't do it for you, it's like, okay. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think that's a good suggestion. Also, it's just a matter of getting over the learning curve. I'm such a stubborn person that I think a lot of stylish action games, like, okay, when I upgrade my character, I just want to go for the easiest to understand combo. I don't understand the rest of the stuff. I just want to keep it to bare minimum moves, which is a terrible way to approach stylish action games in general. But, I've played through several, like Metal Gear Rising and Bayonetta
DMC?
2 and
You
stuff.
beat
Yeah,
DMC,
DMC, the
right? Yeah.
reboot. Like, it's just not
really
my
your
jam.
genre.
I'm just so abysmal at it. But I think it would just take that, like, okay, I'm going to dedicate 2 hours, have some coffee, and let me just focus on actually trying to improve my skills
Look at a
here.
walkthrough just to get you started,
Sure.
which I think helps me sometimes. Like Outer Wilds
Yeah.
last year, like it was helpful for me to kind of look at a walkthrough a little bit to sort of get me started.
That
Stuff
seems
like that.
sacrilegious to the people that love Outer Wilds. I'd like to apologize
At
to all the
least
Outer Wilds
just
fans
start.
out there. That's a lot.
I think the answer is just a video series, right? That's what will get us all into different genres is we just make a video about it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh boy.
And that forces you.
Well,
Game
that's
clubs.
true, but then it's like, okay, yeah, I guess Game Club's an interesting route, but it's like, okay, here's a video series of the worst stylish action player you've ever seen in your life. Like, there's no fun.
But if you're making improvements in it, I bet people would enjoy that.
We have to then bank on me making improvements in the way I play games.
Well,
which is
that
not-
or we add funny sound effects when you screw up every time.
Now we're talking.
A dunce cap?
That's right.
Ooh.
Alex Mauve says, hey, Mighty Maxers. Love it. It says, what games in recent memory hooked you from beginning to end? Most of the time, I get tired of a game in the final stretch and just want it to end. Even with a shorter game like Outer Worlds, I felt like it went on a little too long. What hooked you beginning to end? Hook, line, and sinky.
Can you just say sync?
You all look bored, so I was trying to spice it up.
Okay. I think Resident Evil 4 is probably an example of like a game that I think is just immaculately paced from beginning to end. And
Really? I
I know,
feel like everyone always says that the castle in the middle drags. baby.
it is worse than the part that precedes it, but I still think it's engaging from beginning to end. I don't think there's any point in Resident Evil 4 where I'm just like, I just want to get to
Like
the
the
next
weekest part of Resident Evil 4 is still
one. It's still good.
Amazing,
Like it's
yeah.
just less good than the rest of it. And then,
Right.
I think Undertale for its runtime, I think, is pretty engaging for pretty much throughout. It helps that game is maybe like 4 or 6 hours long.
I think that's definitely a sweet spot. Like Titanfall 2, I think, is the best paced game ever made.
I don't know about ever made, but it's definitely one, like I had no problem finishing that game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
It helps being short, to be sure.
Yeah, is
Yeah.
the answer just that short games?
Short games. Here you go, Alex Mob. Sincerely, Eric says, what is the most impulsive thing you've ever done in public / the most embarrassing thing? The kind of situation where you realize what you did and try to scurry away.
I had one today that's, well, it's not the most, but it's up there.
It's not the one you went to jail for, was it?
Yeah, it's not the one I went to
Okay.
jail for. I went and I was long gas and I went in to fill up and I bought a granola bar. And the guy there was like, well, I bought 2 because it was 2 for $3, $2 for $3. So it's like, okay. And then he rung me up for $4. And he was like, well, the sign said that they're 2 for $3. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll knock $1 off. And so and it's like, do you want your receipt? And I got my receipt and it said $4 as I was walking out. And I was so like mad. I was just forget it. I'm just not gonna like bother him. And I was so like upset with the idea of like this guy did not give me my discount that I forgot both of my granola bars, and then I didn't remember until after I was driving here. So I was like, great, I paid $4 for literally nothing.
Oh, boy. That's absurd. I get it, man. I totally never had that same way. Like every time I get money at the ATM, I'm always like walking away and it's like, oh yeah, that's right, the money. Like I always forget because it's like, well, this is the whole process and done and done.
It's not really like an impulsive one, but I was trying to think of outside of, blue face paint, Fifth Element stuff. Like one of the most embarrassing things that we ever did was like, I was in a band in high school and we played like kind of like pop punk, like punk rock. And our very first show was a battle of the bands at a local, like raceway. It was like where they did like, NASCAR style racing and stuff like that. It was weird. They had a battle of the bands there. So this is like South Carolina racetrack.
Yeah.
And then me and my friends, the first show we ever played publicly, this was our very first show. And we're playing like pop punk to all these people who are just like fans of racing and stuff like that. And then we did a pop punk cover of Sweet Home Alabama. And it did not go well.
Were you expecting it to not go well?
No, we were kind of like, yeah, this will...
We're in the
people
South.
love this song. This will be great. And like, no one was like reacting. It wasn't like no one was like angry. It was just like no reaction at all. And then like one of my toms for my drums just like fell off the stage. And it's just like, it was like, this was our first like, guys, we're a band. Let's like really try to do this thing. We found a show. Let's play. And it was like, it really reined us in quite a bit. We didn't win that battle.
So it's not like, okay, I was expecting people to boo you being like, Alabama sucks.
Someone did yell Freebird like in the middle of the song. But it wasn't like, it didn't get like violent or anything. It was just like we all just like hung our heads afterward and we're like, well, that went poorly.
Oh boy. I feel like I told this story before, but I don't know. It was like a Homecoming King thing or something like that. It was like some sort of competition. And I was in it with my dear friend Ashley. And we all were like being introduced and they were like blasting music to the gymnasium. And then everybody like came up from behind a curtain and was like, oh, here's your couple in contention or whatever the hell. and they're playing the stupid music. Maybe it was like Cotton Eye Joe. I don't remember. And I was like, Ashley, this will be really funny. Get on my shoulders, and we'll come out, and you'll be like on my shoulders. And she was a saint. She's like, yeah, sure. So then she came out, and then I was like, it'd be funnier is if I was dancing to Cotton Eye Joe as we came out from behind the curtain. So I was trying to dance with her on my shoulders. And
this is like at a high school event? Okay.
Yeah, at the full gymnasium. And then immediately fell. And she slammed into the gym floor. And we did not win Homecoming King and Queen. No, she passed away. Severe brain damage, but she'll be missed. Anyways, Crater says, ahoy, cohort-loving computers. You got it. I've been catching up on podcasts the past few days and noticed MinnMax was mentioned on the 200th episode of Easy Allies, as well as the most recent 8-4-Play podcast. So how does it feel to be noticed by Senpai?
It's exciting.
Genuinely better than sex. It is the best thing on planet Earth to hear a podcast that you love mention our basement.
What if MinnMax was mentioned during sex?
It frequently is.
Okay.
What if it was a sex podcast?
Oh, great. Coming
is that
soon.
the new show?
That's right. We're a podcast network after all.
Oh.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like the Easy Allies one made me laugh so much, and the A4 one, I think it came up a couple times because they were talking about the deepest dive for Chrono Trigger and stuff. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because they were talking about Chrono Trigger on the show, and in my mind, it's like, God, that'd be sweet if somebody mentioned it. Then Mark McDonald did, which is very sweet. Anyways, Joshua Caleb says, what's a bad game that you unironically love? Everyone knows it's bad. You know it's bad. But there's just something about it. The art style, the story, the soundtrack, the character, or the positive memories. Bad game you love.
I mean, I really like Bionic Commando Rearm 2, and that game did not do well critically at all, or sales-wise, because they never followed it up. It's never been ported.
That's the 2D one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The second one is the one you like. But how much of that's the soundtrack? Because that seems up your alley.
The soundtrack is very good, but I also like just being able to jump and the way that they changed the controls to make them a lot more intuitive. I think the levels in that game are really cool. In that you can climb them very quickly, and then if you fall at the top, you'll often they're constructed in such a way that you can fall to the very bottom of the level, but you can very quickly climb back up again. There's some really cool set pieces, and I think the bosses work for the most part.
Yeah.
But people didn't really, like that game as much.
Did it review well overall?
I don't think it reviewed well at all.
That's weird.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Lost World on PlayStation 1. I know it's not a good game, but it's so near and dear to my heart as the first game I got for PlayStation 1 alongside Crash 2. Crash 1. But I still think the soundtrack to that game is awesome. And it's Giacchino who went on to do Pixar, and now he composes every single movie released. Yeah.
He does them all. Good for him.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
The one that I kind of thought of was that recently for me is One Piece World Seeker. I really like that game, but I was on the high end of that sort of Metacritic review. Everyone else was much lower. And I'll still check into that game periodically and run around as Luffy because I think it's just fun to control. I think it's fun to run around that world. But yeah, I've gotten tweets from people who are both hey, thanks for recommending that. I really enjoyed it. And tweets from people who are well, I gave it a shot and I did not like that game. I'm I'm sorry.
I was going to say the original Ninja Gaiden games, I feel
they're beloved.
Beloved only because they're so hard, and I don't know about that. I enjoy playing those games, and I've played through all of them a lot. I wouldn't point to them. I wouldn't try and defend them for any reason. I don't think the level design is that interesting. I don't think the controls are very good. It is just that repetition and playing through it of I've done something hard, and that feels like an accomplishment. But
yeah. TJ Starman. He says, hey, Hen Banson and the Nim Zam crew. Backwards. He says, hey, important question here. How do you feel about snacking while gaming? Do you enjoy it? Are you like me and avoid it for fear of getting popcorn butter or Dorito dust on your precious DualShock? What's your ideal snack setup for a gaming session? All about that content.
That's a fun way to sign up. Okay.
I'm not opposed to it.
I don't do it typically. Because I don't want to gunk up those controllers. If I had
what
some
are you
sort
eating?
Just the filthiest, raunchiest stuff.
Just nothing
you can
but
imagine.
Sloppy Joes and nachos all the time.
Sloppy Joe with an RTS
With my
game.
hands.
Now that's a good combo.
Just dig my hands into the nachos and just shove them in my face.
Sir, what about you, Mr. MinnSnacks himself?
Every once in a while, it depends on the food. But I do have that same fear of I don't want to get the controller dirty. But if it's a food that doesn't really require that, sometimes I'll just have a bag of chips and something, and I'll just kind of pour it instead of actually putting my
just
hands
trying
in
to
there.
get it to avoid your
Yeah, but it's not often that I usually like to have my meals cordoned off from whenever I play stuff, just because I like to watch stuff while I'm eating. I don't like to play because I know that it's just going to be a weird thing where I'll either get so into the game that I ignore what I'm eating completely and it'll be cold, or I'll just eat at some point when I should be playing. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Chris Lopez says, hey everyone, which remake/re-release from this generation made you the most excited? There have been a lot of great ones, but the recent release of Vanquish had me more excited than I expected and played through all of it right when it came out. Speaking of short games, were there any games like this from this generation that had you wanting to play immediately when they were released?
I think for me it was probably like the Shadow of the Colossus remake was the first, was the one where I saw it announced because I don't think it had been rumored too much.
Yeah.
It seemed like
it was a total surprise for me.
Yeah, it just
Really
felt like,
out of
wow,
the
that
blue
PS3 version just
point.
came out. That version's so great. Like,
Yeah.
that was a confusing
And so
release.
I saw that trailer I think at E3 and was like, oh, I want to play that. Like,
and now
that-
it's on PlayStation Plus for March.
Yeah.
Which is super exciting. If you've never played that game,
You
do
should.
it.
Yeah. Mine was the same. Yeah, that one totally. Love that game.
James Smith says, hello, Ben Goldenrod Hansen. I don't get that reference, but thank you, Smithy. So I heard Hansen say once that a big part of the joy of Final Fantasy VII is realizing how much more there is in the game than Midgar. So I'm wondering now, maybe they're just pretending that the game is only Midgar so they can surprise people again in a similar way. That would explain the game being called Final Fantasy VII instead of Final Fantasy VII Part 1, which is something a lot of people are unimpressed with. They've been working on this game for so long. Is it so far-fetched to think they made the whole game and are keeping it under wraps? No,
Don't get your hopes up.
universe.
That would be cool.
It
That
would
would
be
be cool.
awesome, but no, I think they're taking the...
I mean, they had the box art, right? You know what I'm talking about? And the back of the box says, like, the Midgar finish line.
Well, no, in the...
Right?
No, that's the frustrating thing is I don't believe it does.
Oh, I thought it did.
No,
I thought
in
it said,
the-
like, experience Final Fantasy VII up through such and such. Like, I thought
In
it
the
actually
YouTube
had...
description, we talked about in last week's episode of the podcast, in the YouTube description for the latest video, they mention it there, but I don't
okay.
believe on the remakes box art it makes it
'Cause they-
clear in a big way.
Because that was the two big things I thought was, like, they revealed the... it's going to be, like, 100 gigabytes. And then it had that,
Ooh.
like, paragraph.
Oh, maybe you're right then. I
Yeah.
actually didn't look at that story because I just saw like, oh, here's the download size. And like, who cares?
I could be wrong. Yeah, I mean, download sizes I think is interesting actually, but yeah, because it was on Reddit and then it got taken down. Yeah, so
Oh, that's interesting. Well, let's see here. Leaked box art says the remake
go.
file size.
come on, load.
They also say, oh, Midgar
It's
remake
only
is
the Midgar chapter.
yeah, and leaves out the rest of the massive overworld. Okay, well that's their version of it, but I want to see the actual wording.
Yeah, that's not.
I can't
So
see
Hansen
it.
pulled up a picture and it's kind of a blurry shot, but like James asked that question.
Yeah, Smithy.
Yeah, I wouldn't get your hopes up, man.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
I would love
it
it.
is the
It'd be
entire
cool.
game, there's no reason for them to not have clarified that by now.
Yeah.
Right. Tim Holt says, gents, a few days ago, THQ Nordic bought Saber Interactive for $500 million. That's 1/5 the price Microsoft paid for Mojang and twice the price that Sony paid for Insomniac. I'm going to personally repeat here. That's twice the price that Sony paid for Insomniac. What am I missing here? What's the business case for this purchase? Part of the deal is incentive-based, but this still seems like a lot of money for the studio that brought us such titles as World War Z, NBA Playgrounds, and Spin Tires: Mud Runner. They also recently ported Witcher 3 to the Switch. Does Tim Willits have the next Fortnite cooking up over there?
I don't
So
know.
Tim Willits, left id and he's at Saber Interactive.
I mean, THQ Nordic's kind of loaded, you know.
No one knows how or why.
Well, there's an investor like in Switzerland or something. This Verimland.
Oh, is it that solid gold man?
He has a name like Wingafors. And
Oh,
he's,
really?
And he's like he's just this like has a crap ton of money to throw away.
And he loves Saber Interactive's
It's gotta
library of
be.
games.
It's got to be some kind of tax haven scheme or something.
Maybe. But he
Because
was
they have bought so many studios and then licenses and stuff.
Yeah.
And what are they doing with them? I just
they're
want time
releasing games.
splitters.
I just want Time Splitters too, man. Please
do
just
it.
give us Time Splitters.
But that is a lot of money for that studio. I mean,
It's confusing.
I like World War Z a lot, but
$500 million a
$500
lot?
million,
I can
don't
see
think
I can see a couple of business cases where it gives them another studio to make original properties or like use their license stuff. The Switch port thing might also be significant since they can be a licensed studio of like, hey, if we're porting it to Switch in the same way that we are, porting The Witcher 3, then it makes sense that here's a massive game that we're putting on a platform that has been known to be a place where games can be successful. It
Yeah.
seems like a lot of surefire hits. So it's like, hey, Saber, you know how to do this stuff. Just keep doing that.
Yeah.
So THQ just needs ports. So
Right,
let's
like-
go to instead of buying Iron Galaxy or something, which also does a lot of ports.
So the next time someone says like, "Hey, we need this high budget port to Switch," you're gonna have to go through THQ basically if you want the Saber people to do it, and then. Yeah,
and I mean they are talented. Like that list of games there are all pretty unique, and they do a lot of like help. They do like help on a lot of other studios. So I think it's a talented group over there. But it is surprising.
And they have roots, doing some Halo stuff, Doom stuff.
Yes, Halo as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, they do seem like they could have talent to maybe apply towards the Time Splitters, which my fingers are crossed for. But we'll see. Because I thought it was going to be, oh help me, Lord.
Darksiders?
No.
I have no idea what you're trying to get at here.
The studio
Okay.
where one of the co-creators of GoldenEye, the art director, works. Sumo. Sorry, I thought it was going to be Sumo, but
there
then
we go.
were they also purchased? Sumo Interactive.
I don't think so.
Wasn't there news about that a little while ago?
They're breaking in that Crackdown 3 money, baby.
Yeah, maybe they're still independent.
I think they're done raking.
Is that right?
Now they're just going outside and checking to see if
The
any
rake
of
part
leaves have
fell
fallen.
off the handle.
Anyways, Adam Cohen says, "Hello, MinnMaxers. How much does it bother you when video games have, quote, very video gamey things? For instance, in Jedi Fallen Order, when Cal learns to force push but can't force pull until he learns it later, or in God of War, in the cutscenes when Kratos can jump really high in the air and break mountains apart with his rage, but then can't solve a puzzle because there's a rock in the way, or you need to put the crystal in place to create the light bridge to connect the distances that are longer than the normal gameplay jumping ability, or in open world games when the main quest says, hurry up or the world will end, but there's still a lot of shopping and side missions to do. It's a silly little thing, but does it bother you? Does it take you out of the experience?" Yeah, I'm always obsessed with that idea that calling something video gamey is pejorative, like especially in a film. Like if a film review is like, this is video gamey. Whereas in a game, if you call something cinematic in a game, it's seen as a positive thing.
Oh, sure,
It's a weird flip. But yeah, I kind of like it. Like I appreciate in God of War, like those kind of dopey moments, like, okay, line up the things in Alfheim and then cut the little living tentacle things in the right angle, where it's like, I like it when there's just a good splash of old school video gaminess in this thing.
Yeah, I really don't, like all those examples like really don't bug me much. I think about the only one is if there is like an item like hidden behind a wall, but like the hole that's there like is big enough for your character model to go through. Like it feels like if it doesn't fit like geometrically, that kind of bugs me. But like those examples that they listed, like jumping really high in a cutscene or like having to extend a bridge because you can't jump on that, I like that stuff. That
That's
stuff doesn't
video
bug me.
game.
The last one does bug me though, in terms of, oh, you have to do this right now because you know that you don't have to, and that kind of thing takes me out of it. Where it always feels like a missed opportunity, because if there was a sense of urgency that was kind of built into it, like if you only said you have to do this now when you actually had to do that now, I feel like that would be so much more intense. But even now when I play games, sometimes it tricks me where there actually is a time component to it, but I just assume that there isn't one, and I'm opening every box or whatever.
Yeah, what am I,
on.
Sonic? Capable of stopping time to do all these side quests?
No, we went over this.
I don't understand it. Adam Cohen says, also, hey, I don't know, here's a weird experience I had. We're in a rental car, and GPS was still relatively new, but this one had it. I think we're in a parking garage trying to find a spot, and the GPS was going haywire. It kept telling us to do things like to get back on track. Finally, somebody in the car just said, turn it off. And immediately the GPS said, no. We all looked at each other to make sure this was in fact what we heard, and it was, and none of us can explain it.
Oh, that was a callback to our
was
send
last week.
weird supernatural stuff.
Yeah. To be fair, I was hoping for like fun coincidences, but almost everybody wrote in with supernatural freaky stuff. So this is turning into Ghost Story Hour. But if you want to steer it back towards fun coincidences that have happened in your life, please submit a comment at patreon.com.
And wait for MinnMax Spook Show, which is going to be another new series.
That's right.
Committed to that name?
That's right. Braden Summers says, hey, Hanson and Company, get a load of this weird story. Cast your mind back to the distant year of 2015 when a little movie called 50 Shades of Grey released in theaters. Oh, by the way, we should review all these 1 through 10 on the
The scare scale.
No, it shouldn't be scare, but just like the weirdness
Eerie.
scale.
Okay.
Yes, eerie. So what is the GPS says?
It's like a 4 or 5.
On a what, 10 out of 10?
Yeah.
Is a 5 average?
Is it because you were not believing that this happened and
No,
Adam Cohen's a liar?
I just No, I don't think they're a liar. I think like it could have been referring to a street.
Okay.
And
But is
got
that
cut
factoring
off
into
or
the
something.
review? Is my point?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the story as told is a 5.
I believe all the story. We're not rating on veracity. We're rating on eeriness.
Because we can't.
Yeah,
That's right.
I feel like
And
sometimes
virility.
voice command AI stuff builds fun things like that in, because I've definitely sworn at Google lady and she's
I
been
don't
like,
think
don't
it's
use
voice
that
commands.
language.
It wasn't a voice command thing.
It's not a voice command thing, and the GPS just
Said
Said
no.
something?
Yes. Well, it speaks, but
Also,
you
they
don't
were in a
talk
rental
to
car,
it.
and they didn't know how it worked necessarily.
I don't know, man. Anyways, Braden Summers. All right. Year 2015, a little movie called 50 Shades of Grey released in theaters. Around this time, I distinctly remember my friend recommending me this short YouTube video called 50 Shades of Steve Buscemi. I didn't get around to watching it for a few weeks, but once I did, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I decided to go back to my friend and let him know I liked it. But lo and behold, he said he'd never heard of it before. How did I come up with this very specific idea that already existed? Or was it a simple Jeffum-like case of my friend lying to me? Either way, it's a terrific video. This is like just another friend recommended.
This is like
Yeah,
a 3.
it was a different
This is
friend.
about a 2.
Yeah.
Or the friend just forgot about it. You know,
It's gotta
I've
be a
probably
2.
recommended videos that I've forgotten existed.
Braden, thank you for your support and for writing in, but giving this a 2, buddy. Sincerely, Eric says, my wife has always experienced paranormal things and tried to tell me the house she lived in when we dated was haunted, and she said, and she was too. What? Okay, these were the order of events from my end. At one point, I was in one of her rooms and was looking past her into the hallway, and I saw an overgrown black shadow move past, like that thing from Spirited Away, but without the mask. I didn't mention it to her. We were on a Skype call late one night, and she wanted me to stay on while she fell asleep because she felt uncomfortable or uneasy. She fell asleep, but I kept my phone on, and I was watching TV with it next to me. At one point, I hear her make a noise, so I look over. She's still asleep, so her phone is just on her face. A voice then that is not hers, and her mouth does not move, says, "Good night." And then her phone dies and the call shuts off.
That's good. That's freaky.
All right.
What did he do at that point?
Well, he said then his wife was in a bad state emotionally, and then he had a dream where he fought a big black thing like that, like the big shadow figure. And then after that, he said his wife was fine and she wasn't uneasy in the house anymore.
What? He did it. He solved it.
Solved it.
Okay, but still, if someone says good night and then your wife's phone dies and it goes to black, like you have to call the police.
You got to get in the
at
car.
that point. Yeah.
Or you just have to assume that there was a little bit of lag, so the video didn't catch up with the audio.
Shut up, Kyle. What would you give this, Jeff?
Let's go 7.5.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
7.5.
Charles Davis says, thanks so much for awarding a Minternational like myself question of the week last week. It lifted me up on an otherwise pretty crappy day, and I'm glad that I made the show better. He's the one who originally suggested this. Here's my own weird thing I can't explain in case you wanted to follow it up. This is so silly. Okay. About 10 years ago, me and my best friend were driving home from university, and I kid you not, drove through the end of a rainbow. Rainbows are optical illusions, so it just shouldn't be scientifically possible. But my friend remembers it as well. Everything on the road was illuminated in the full spectrum of a rainbow color. Looking out through the window, we could see the arch of the rainbow towering up and over a hill that ran parallel to the road. It sounds really cheesy, but it was honestly one of the most remarkable and magical moments I've ever witnessed. Me and my friend both know it happened, but we also can't explain it. That's the silliest idea.
I mean, it's all an optical illusion to begin with, right? So it just...
Yeah, but it's a very specific optical illusion.
Yeah. Could have been the windshield.
All
maybe.
right. I love this one, man.
It's weird. It's
good.
weird.
It's good.
What's the explanation? You're just like closer to the rainbow. The rainbow is bigger. But
Well,
then
the
either
rainbows are not
But he's
physical
making
objects.
it seem like it's like a...
She drove through it.
He's making it seem like it's just like an alien beam
Yeah.
of like rainbow
I
colors.
don't know, man.
They were on
I
drugs.
love this. Oh yeah, Charles, you're on
drugs.
drugs. Okay, but Serial, what's that score?
Uh,
What's that ear meter?
that's
The mirror
I feel like
term?
that's like a 3 or 4. 3.
What? This is the most beautiful story I've ever heard in my life. You're gonna
But I'm not rating it
But is
on
it
whether or not
eerie?
it's beautiful. I'm rating
Yeah,
it
the
on whether or
beautiful
not it's
scale up to
spooky.
10.
And it's not spooky because at the end of the day, it's a rainbow.
All right. Well, try this one on for
There was
size.
a naked leprechaun though that jumped out
Well,
onto the
that's not in the
windshield.
story
and
as
was
told.
like, "Hey."
That's you making stuff up.
Dougie Fresh 2 Deaf writes in and says, hey, I grew up in a rural Vermont farmhouse built during the early 1800s. One day, during the summer before my senior year in high school, I was out mowing the lawn. While mowing the side of my house by the driveway, I happened to look up at the attic window. I saw clear as day a person in the window and thought it was strange that my dad would be in the attic. As I came around the house, I saw my dad standing in the kitchen through the window. I instantly stopped the mower, walked inside, and asked if he'd been in the attic, knowing there's no way he could have been. He said no, and when I told him about what I saw, he completely blew it off. Now, I'm not a big ghost believer, but I cannot explain that experience. To me, I saw, clear as day, a person in the window. Later on, when I talked to my brother about it, he was off in the military. He said with a matter-of-fact tone, when we were younger, I used to wake up and see a lady at the foot of your bed.
That's just a brother reply.
All right.
But that's freaky.
Okay,
and I wouldn't like that.
He's a deaky.
8. All right. Nate McClellan says, hello, Ben and the Computer Living co-host. Hello, close enough. Last week, you finally said to write in with something strange that happened to you and can't explain. Well, one summer, while staying at my mom's mom was at work. It was late at night. My brother was sleeping in his room and I was watching TV. I heard a noise come from the kitchen that sounded like that dog toy that's a pig that makes squealing noises when the dog plays with it.
We all know it.
The only problem is we don't have a dog. It happened twice, and after that, I mustered up the courage to look. I go down the hall to my brother's room and ask if he's awake. He says yes. I said, did you hear that weird noise from the kitchen? He said, no, but why did you just run down the hall into Mom's room?
Dude, our listeners are all haunted.
The most haunted Patreon on the internet. He says, I slept in his room on the floor that night. We still have no idea what that noise was, but every once in a while, I'll ask him if he remembers it. And he says, yeah, that was weird. That one gave me goosebumps as I read it. That one freaked me out. Giving that an 8.
All right.
But again, we want coincidences and weird things, not all ghost stories. Because it's a fine line, but I'm trying to steer it on a certain edge, you know? Anyways, okay, here's a nice follow-up. Devin Raridan says, hey guys, what specific games do you think have the best morality systems? I enjoy games like Fallout New Vegas that use a reputation system for different factions. Follow-up question, what are some of the most difficult decisions you made while playing a game? Well, that's too much. We'll get to that later. But the best morality systems, what do you guys like?
Kind of like when they're hidden, honestly.
I was going to say I like the ones where it's not an actual system. They just give you hard choices. And so you're not looking at a meter filling up one way or the other. You're just actually considering the choices as you're going
Right.
Which is a cop-out, admittedly. But
It's true. I like the Mega Man Legends system. Subtle, not in your face, but if you keep kicking the can and blowing stuff up, blowing up the vending machines, you turn black. You turn from blue to black. So you can it's super cool. Then it like slowly fades with time. Such a weird idea on PlayStation 1. It's very neat.
Yeah. I feel like maybe Civ to some degree has like really interesting decisions in that you're kind of choosing your allegiances to other nations, and then those nations value some things over the other. And it's not like an explicit thing where it's like, hey, this nation is like killing its people, so are you going to ally with them? But it's more like, what are you like? This region is attacking this region. Who are you going to choose? Kind of thing based on the resource. Like you're making decisions in ways that I think actual countries would do it. And like, well, this region has been attacking other nations, but they kind of have a pipeline to the resources that I want, so I want to ally myself with them.
So you're defining your own morality.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Did you guys see that story going around where somebody who worked on Mass Effect said that 92% of Mass Effect players were Paragon?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's like they put all this work into the Renegade path, and apparently only 8% of people were like, yeah, that's for me. That's wild to see that number out there.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of other developers were jumping in and being like, yep, same here. All evil choices just don't get seen. It's a real bummer.
so gamers are good.
Gamers are good.
I like to think they are.
Chris Logan says, hello, cohorts. Over the years, new hardware often meant new and unique tech and innovations. Some examples include the Dreamcast VMU, the rear touchpad on the Vita, and of course, the Wii motion controls. My question is, which hardware innovation was the most underutilized and underappreciated in your opinion?
I feel like the Wii remote controls were pretty widely utilized.
Well,
he's
he's just
saying-
listing
just as
other,
an
like,
example.
yeah.
There was a lot of functions of the Wii remote that like no one ever did anything with. Like it had memory on there. Like you could put stuff on the controller, and like the idea was like you could put your Mii on the controller and like take it to other Wiis and stuff like that. But
interesting.
no one ever took advantage of it or did anything
Yeah.
with it.
I want to
you know?
say like there was a game, maybe it was Smash Brothers, where you could save like your Mii data or something. I don't think they had Mii Fighters then, but it's like there was a game where maybe it was Mario Kart because you could play as the Mii in that one, right? And you could save your Mii look onto your Wii remote, and then when you brought it to a friend's house, you could drive as the Mii that you saved to the controller.
Like I like the idea of like the Wii remote being sort of like your connection to
memory
not
card
even just your
sort
Wii,
of.
but like other Wiis. Like it was the
Right.
piece that you took with you to like a friend's house, but it like, man, I don't think anyone ever really did anything with it in that way, you know?
Yeah, it's a weird one. Felix Davin says, hey, friendos, I have a very touching question. Which systems have you actually physically not touched? Which consoles have you never touched? I was thinking about like, man, all the time at Game Informer, have I ever touched a Saturn? I might have moved one in a cupboard once or something at Game Informer, right?
Like a Jaguar, maybe.
Did you touch a Jaguar?
I think the animal?
That's right.
No, I don't. I think I might have had a friend that had one, and then I think there was one at Game Informer that we tried to do for an episode of Replay once, but we never. I did that feature where I wrote, I ranked the controllers.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of go around and track them down, and one was like a Jaguar controller. But yeah, Saturn.
Atari 2600. There's a good chance I've never touched one.
Yeah, I don't think I've touched the joystick for one, but not the actual console.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough working at Game Informer because like all that, there's like a lot of history there. So like that stuff was like around the office.
Yeah,
like
you
in
know?
the vault,
blew it.
there's a lot
You
of
should have
systems
just
in the
gone
vault.
in and touched everything.
Yeah, missed our shot. By the way, Felix here is the guy who put Game Informer into Sonic Canon.
Oh,
There's that
right.
reference to Super Replay
Yeah,
and Sonic Boom. Yeah.
Hey, Felix.
Nick Ludeman says, hey, bridging off a question from last week, what are your favorite places in the US of A to visit? I've been wanting to do more traveling of God's country, but I don't know where to start. What do you enjoy visiting, and do you have any new tips?
Tips?
Any tips for newbie travelers?
I don't visit that many places in the U.S. I like going to San Francisco. I like visiting San Francisco.
Really?
Especially like the drive from the airport to the city itself, where you see all these houses along the cliffside. I think that's a really cool look, basically. But,
Okay.
I don't know that I'd live there, but I like when I visit San Francisco. It's usually there's usually always something fun to see. Like I like the way I like the architecture of a lot of their houses, and like the way their streets are very slanted. Even though I imagine that if I lived there, I think that would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But just visiting there, it's fun.
Have you ever heard of the Wisconsin Dells?
No.
The best place in the United States? It's up there with Seattle and Austin.
That's actually, I was going to say
Minneapolis.
Seattle. I
And
like
then-
Seattle.
It's good, but Wisconsin Dells.
No, Wisconsin Dells.
It's the water park capital of the world. It's the best. And it's like a town of 2,000 people. I know I was just talking about it on the Game Informer show, but I went there in a big way for the first time last summer, and it's mind-blowing. It is the coolest place on earth.
So
Jeffem, have you been?
No, but you've been there once?
Well, I went as a kid.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of like this hazy memory. And then going as an adult, I was like, what the hell? This is the best idea of just packing all these, you could say touristy, but just weird novelty things. Like, hey, take a tour of the White House that's life-size and upside down. Or like, hey, here's a big King Kong statue. Yeah, it's wild. That town is filled with just the weirdest things you've ever seen. And there's 2,000 people there. Parking's abundant. There's water parks up the butt. It's the best. Anyways, Rich Carrasco says, hey, Maxers, when was the last time you judged a game by its cover and were surprised about how much you enjoyed it? Mine was Shadow of the Colossus. I had no idea what the game was about before I bought it, but the image of the Colossi on the cover was enough for me to want to play it.
It's a good cover.
Yeah, this is tough. Before Googling it, anything.
I imagine all of us at the table have a pretty good knowledge of games before we touch them, you know?
Right.
But my wife was a big fan of she doesn't read about video games really or previews or anything like that. She is a big fan of just going to a store and just grabbing something off the shelf and giving it a shot. And she has had some incredible luck with it because she found the original Nier that way, which was one of her favorite games of all time. And she also found Deadly Premonition that way, which was because I would even not tell her things. She would just be like, this looks interesting. And I was like, do you want to know anything about it? She's like, no. And then she found some awesome games that way.
Isn't it also just, why not just Google a score or something?
Because she just wants zero. She doesn't even want any influence on her opinion whatsoever. She just wants to go in completely blind.
Isn't it an opportunity to waste a lot of money?
You can just return that stuff if it's awful.
Really?
Yeah.
Big returning family?
Sure, I guess. I mean, if I'm within the
comes
return
back to the show
policy, you
every
act
week.
like it's some like morally ambiguous thing.
I hate returning things.
You know, GOG.com, they updated their policy today where you can return any game you purchase for any reason within 30 days.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Wow.
I'm going to go return a bunch of games now.
Yeah.
You can.
I'm pretty sure that I bought Soul Calibur 2 Sight Unseen because Link was on the cover.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's a great example. Yeah, definitely. I remember just being obsessed with Rascal on PlayStation 1, just studying that cover, because for some reason in the 90s, like, that's the coolest looking kid I've
This is
ever
the
seen
new
in my
Sonic,
life.
man.
Keenan Harrell says, hey, everyone, first time, long time, happy new patron. Happy new patron, happy new patron, happy new patron.
Yeah, we'd like to announce a new policy where we do this every time someone says they're a new patron.
Yep.
I mean, hey, if it gets us more patrons, I'll clap. I'll
As a
clap all
guy,
day.
excuse me, as a guy in his early 30s with a hectic life, the time available to put in our beloved hobby becomes smaller and more precious every day. I was wondering if the CLCs had any ideas on ways developers could implement options into games that allow the players to customize the overall duration of a game. For example, Outer Worlds has many quest types: main story, side quest, companion quest, faction quest, tasks, blah, 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 blah. Summarizing here, he says, the last generation, we saw new game options that allowed us to scale the difficulty of puzzles and combat and exploration separately with Tomb Raider. Why not have some options that allow players to curb the game to fit with their availability? I know this wouldn't work for multiplayer games, but I think there are plenty of single-player games that you should be able to have a flexibility thing of, like, how long do you want this experience to be?
Yeah.
Which I think is a fun idea.
That's a good point. Yeah. I think like difficulty settings to a certain degree do touch on that a little bit. Like, because there's been occasions in the recent years where I will play something on easy just because it's like, well, I know I won't have to refight this boss as much if I just play it on easy.
I mean, even in the ZX collection, right? Just the save points, basically what they help with is like, if I die X number of times, I won't have to repeat this level versus I can, like, the boss is still the boss if you just have the save points on.
Yeah. And isn't it kind of like, it's interesting thought, Keenan, but at the same time, isn't it kind of like already there?
We already have that.
Yeah,
because
'cause
it's
in
the
the-
main quest versus side quest.
Right. Can't you just manually choose that?
There are times though where, like, depending on the difficulty of the game, you might feel encouraged to, because like, well, I need to do these quests so I can tackle the main stuff. So maybe just like the idea of like, you know, if you put it on easy, then you can just say like, hey, make the leveling curve such that I don't need side quests at all, and I can just plow through the main story stuff.
I mean, it's also that thing, you know, that FOMO thing that you can't. I don't know how to get around it. Of just like, I don't feel like I'm getting the full experience if I'm skipping these side quests.
If you want to do it, but I do like the idea of a game telling you at the beginning, okay, how many hours do you want to play this for?
Yeah.
And if it could somehow extend or shorten the arc based on that, it wouldn't work for, you know, narrative-driven games probably. But if, you know, does Civilization have an option like that?
Yeah, I mean, there are modes where you can play like small map or whatever, or make the turns go by faster, or things like that. Like in SimCity, you can literally speed things up, right? And city building sims.
Yeah. Or like XCOM is not. Do they have something like that?
Yeah.
Have you played the game?
I guess I'm not. I guess maybe they already have those kind of things. But it would be nice if you could sit down with an XCOM and say, "Hey, I want to play this for 10 hours."
Right.
And so figure out how you're going to fit a campaign into that amount of time.
Yeah, I agree.
We talked with, I think it was Jack that we talked with about it, right? Like how a lot of like RPG like ports like Final Fantasy 7 or 12 like have fast forward
And how we want that
buttons.
on the system.
Yeah, I would love that.
Grizzled Gaming says, everyone is weird in their own way, so it's okay, Kyle. But some people hide it better than
Thank you,
others.
Grizzled.
Be honest and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Oh, I guess we're putting ourselves on the eerie meter. For how weird you think you are.
Weird?
Yeah. Then have the others rate you on how weird they perceive you to be.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody lock in your numbers.
5 average, we're saying.
Yeah. Is 5 like a normal person, or is
Well, what would a
1
4 be then?
Ooh.
If 5 means you're an average person, what's a 4?
Oh, okay. So I guess 1 is just normal.
Okay, so
Hang
1 is
on.
average, 10 is you're a
Enhancing.
freak, and you should be.
Yeah,
Locked
10
up.
is the Joker,
Okay.
right?
10 out of 10, baby.
That's a Joker lifestyle.
That's right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a weird guy. I don't know. I probably, if 10's the Joker, probably a 4.
So if you're a 4, I would put myself at like a 2.
You SOB.
Yeah, you're higher than a 4, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
so.
But I'm not like you know,
we like you.
No,
but you can
that's-
be an oddball.
I'm a weird guy, but like I'm not saving my pee-pee in jars, or I don't have.
That's like an 8.
Wait,
I don't go to like Fetish Town, USA in the bedroom or anything.
hey,
like,
don't save your pee in jars.
I think so.
but
so-
fingernail clippings.
So
right
10
now.
is criminal, 9 is weird sex pervert stuff, 8 is like
I guess so.
the
compulsive
billionaire, the aviator.
Yeah, compulsive like I
pee
don't know.
in jars, pee in jars.
Eat your scabs.
God,
That's worse than sex fetish? Is that-
the scale is all screwed up.
I don't know.
I think
don't
we've
wanna-
just proven that we're all weird.
okay.
We didn't
But
get you
what's
guys
your
ready.
number?
It's
Yeah, you
fine.
can't just dodge this bullet. You think you're weird?
It depends on what your number
Whatever.
is. I was going off
Forget
of
the
you.
number. Forget the number. Do you think you're weird?
Yeah, of course.
Why?
We're all weird.
What's weird about you?
I don't know. Well, for one, when we do a podcast, I have to be pushed all the way in, and I need these as close to the edge as I can get them.
Yeah.
It's called edging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cereal? Are you weird?
Probably like a 5.
Really?
Wow.
What do you think is weird about you?
I don't know, but sometimes I don't feel.
He knows.
There are times when I.
He knows.
Yeah.
But
I have a
it's so
Google
weird
Doc I
because
can pull
it's-
up for you if you want.
That's right. Yeah. What? Oh, it's just listing things.
Yeah. What do you think is weird about you?
Well, it's still like a 5. It's not like crazy high. It's still like medium weird. I don't know.
We just said 8 was eating your own skin, though. So
I nibble
The
at
scale's
it.
out the window. The scale's out the window.
So we're just trying to figure out what we would admit to as being weird about ourselves.
Right.
Okay.
I just wanted
I
cereal
feel like
to say
I spend too much time doing things that I ultimately realize don't really like mean anything. I set weird goals for myself of like this, like today I'm not gonna like sit on the couch at all. Like just as a thing that I'm going to do today.
I'm sorry, Jeff was dying.
I think that proves my point. I think I rest my case.
Because
I like that as a goal. That's fun.
before like.
But the bed totally counts. Like I will be on the bed. I will lie on the bed, but just not be in the
But
couch
is it
at all.
for like kind of OCD-ish type things, or
No,
is it
it's
like
not like. Well, I am pretty forgetful, but that's like normal. But like,
pretty
it's
what?
mostly because like I slept on the couch once and it hurts, and it's like I don't want to be anywhere near the couch. I'm just not gonna touch it today.
because you're scared you're gonna fall asleep and it'll hurt you again?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, that hurt my side. That one snuck
That's
up
a
on
good
me.
question, Grizzly Baby.
Mark Cruz. Hey, he says hello, Ben and the not Bens. As I recently
Okay.
okay, as I recently just got promoted
Congrats.
and I'm making a lot more money. Quit bragging. What's the first thing you bought when you started making money? When you started making money. I bought a 1K Canada Goose jacket. It has been something I wanted since I moved to New York, but couldn't justify until now. Let me look up this. What is a Canada
1K.
Goose jacket?
I mean, I have a very distinct memory of getting my first like paycheck for my first like after school job at GameStop and like being able to fill up my gas tank and it just being this like amazing, exciting thing.
What were you doing before then? Just
putting
siphoning
No,
gas?
just putting like a couple dollars in at a time. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
whatever.
so
I
a full
never did that in
take.
my
Oh,
life.
yeah.
I always felt so sorry for everybody that had to do that.
Yeah, no, like gathering money from friends so I could drive them around because I had the van and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, but then the first like big purchase was an original Xbox and Halo for me. I remember buying that.
Yeah, I'm really cheap. Like I bought a used car like back in 2018. That was like the biggest thing I think I've ever purchased, and then but I
Yeah.
remember like the first time I don't know if you can call Game Informer money even, but like I remember like going back in time to I must have been mowing lawns. Like it's the first thing I was doing that was considered work. I guess picking asparagus for my parents, but that doesn't really count. But I remember like doing the math in my head about like, okay, if I mow a lawn every other week, then I can buy this many Pokemon cards every other week. I'm like really trying to break that down. I got so excited about like this is going to be an overflowing
have
amount of
too
Pokemon
many.
cards. Yeah.
I think mine was probably after I started at Game Informer, I went and bought myself a 55-inch, I think, widescreen TV, and that was the first one where I was like, hey, this kind of also counts as an investment for because I'm going to be playing video games at home or whatever.
Right.
But I'm still using that TV. So
There we go.
in terms of payoff, that was actually a good investment.
There we go.
I bought an exercise. Like one of the first things I bought was like an exercise bike for my really small studio, and it felt especially luxurious because it did not fit in that apartment. And I had to constantly like, okay, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna drag it over here just so I can exercise, and then I'm gonna drag it back into the closet because it does. It's a very small studio apartment.
Yeah.
and it just had no place. I shouldn't have bought it, but I bought it and I used it. But
Did you use it as a seat on those days that you didn't want to sit on your couch or your bed?
That's right. I said I'm just gonna be on the exercise bike all day. I'm not touching that couch.
Cody Hester says, Dear MinnMax, when Jack was on the show a while back, she was talking about something and said, quote, Godzilla is very personal to me. It's very personal to me because my father, and my mind immediately filled in the rest of her sentence as, was a Godzilla. Am I the only one who thought this? Thanks, Cody
Yes.
from West Des Moines. Yeah, maybe my mind went there, but I'm too classy to interrupt somebody with a joke like that. Alex Edinger says, hello, Ben and the CLCs. Ben, last week you said that if your future potential children ever wanted a dog, you would play the role of a dog instead of getting one. By the way, yeah, my weird meter's going down.
I was just thinking that.
Now,
I was thinking that last question too when you were like, I picked asparagus for my parents, but that doesn't really count. And it's like,
I guess
okay.
living a farmer lifestyle is weird now.
In an Irish accent? Was that?
You're not.
So,
you're really not like doing anything for your number.
Alex says, now, while I have to say your intentions may have been pure, Purina. Okay,
just went up again.
here we go. Now, while I have to say your intentions may have been pure, please look at these behind-the-scenes clips from Call of the Wild. To prevent any future mental trauma, I hope you reconsider.
Oh,
Did you see those?
I saw these.
So it's like
I wanna see
for
it.
Call of the
I'll see
Wild,
it.
that Harrison Ford film,
CGI dog,
the
yeah.
hot new Harrison Ford film. They had like an actor on set playing his dog the entire time, and they released like behind the scenes stuff, and it looks so stupid.
Harrison Ford was okay with that?
I hated the dog. I guess so. Like I saw Sean Murray saying, tweeting something about like release the no dog cut.
God, if there's any actor in Hollywood who
that'd be
seems
so
like they
good.
would not put up with that at all, it'd be Harrison Ford.
Anyway, he's been hanging out with Chewie for so long. He's used
I
to
guess
people
that's true.
acting as animals and stuff, right? Oh no. What am I looking here? Rob Rook Hudak says, hey, I'm a broken record about this, but I think it always bears repeating. The main reason I enjoy being a part of the MinnMax community is how positive, friendly, and welcoming everybody is. Community game nights are an absolute blast. Yeah, that's organized in the Discord there. In keeping up with that trend, what is one accomplishment you're proud of another member at the table having done? Specifically besides MinnMax. No waffling out of this.
Oh, I was going to say you for starting MinnMax, Hanson.
Thank you. Kyle with the Gaming Right Hope podcast.
Oh, thank you.
That's cool. I also, you posted like a YouTube video like building.
Yeah. Did you watch that?
I did.
You're in it.
Yeah, I know. It's like you were like, oh, Hanson says that me having this poster is going to really hurt the acoustics. I was joking.
Oh, really?
It's like it was so far away. Like that was just a dumb joke.
You know audio better than I would. I thought you were serious.
I got no audio. I put a sleeping bag on the wall.
Yeah, because you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's right. I'm proud of Serial for losing how much weight?
150.
How's that going?
Still 150.
It is genuinely inspirational.
It's insane.
Yeah, it made me start working out more,
And
for sure.
I actually thought that multiple times at Game Informer, where you would come in a T-shirt, and I'd be like, "Damn, his arms are skinny."
He's looking good.
I mean, it
He's
has
looking-
been
he's
a
keeping it
full
tight.
transformation. And you should be proud of that, Serial.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am. Kyle, I'm impressed that you wrote a book. Like that is the thing that I've always thought about doing and just have never been able to do.
How are the sales for Kama Sutra 2? Anyway.
Tuma
Not
Sutra?
as good as I'd like them to be.
That's right.
Jeff, I'm proud of your recent Chrono Trigger video. I thought it was very well written and funny and good.
Really?
I don't know.
That
I
one?
want to elevate it. It's a good video.
He said not MinnMax stuff.
Oh, not MinnMax
Yeah.
stuff. Oh, okay.
So what do you got, Kyle?
Also, people are probably like, what book are you talking about?
Oh, it's you can if you look on Amazon, it's called The Legendary World of Zelda, and it's just kind of like it's a nice compendium of everything Zelda. I wrote a book about Zelda, and one thing I like about it is when you flip through it, there's lots of screenshots, and you get to see the evolution of the Zelda series over the course of time.
So the best thing about the book you wrote is the pictures
Or
of
all
Zelda.
the screenshots I took.
Seems like reviewers agree. No. Oh, this is a nice segment. Jeff, you seem very on top of your mental health. You seem like you know how to manage that well.
Okay.
All right.
I fooled you.
Except you're a notorious coward because I jumped and scared you earlier today, and you did not appreciate it.
But who is that?
I actually am a notorious coward, and I jump at stuff all the time.
You think you're a coward after I read those spooky emails or comments and stuff on Patreon? I thought I heard a sound from outside, and I genuinely got scared. Like, while we were recording,
You have a skeleton in that room. That's not helping.
That's true.
toy skeleton.
He's there to protect you.
Anyways, oh boy, the Smack says, "Hey Ben and the bubbly bubble blasters. Lately, I've been fascinated with video game maps. If you could create your own game, what would the map entail? Would you create a sci-fi world set on an unknown planet with hidden temples, mysterious relics, and dangerous creatures? Or maybe underground cities with a network of tunnels that utilize futuristic technology to shape surrounding caverns? Points for creativity."
I do that last one, he said. That sounded pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't like exploring like labyrinthian tunnels in video games though, because you get lost.
I just like just take Shadow of the Colossus' world, and that's about it. I just want good rolling green hills.
I like really dense, compact. I'd rather have like a smaller map with like more stuff in it.
I want
you know?
the exact opposite of that.
Was it?
Let's never design a game together.
You want a big map with nothing in it?
That's right. Death Stranding style. Love it.
I would want to make it like a fantasy world, and with all the regular fantasy stuff. But the thing that's weird about it is that for no reason, like if people like mapped it out on a map, it would just look like the city of Detroit for no reason.
Yeah.
It would just be like it just follows the exact same shape. I don't know what this says about the meaning of the game or anything. It just looks exactly like Detroit.
So is it a Detroit Become Human prequel? Or...
That's right.
I believe so. Adam Wagner says, "Hey, everybody. What advice do you have for people out there trying to get into podcasting? Aside from mics, what do you recommend in terms of mixing, editing, where to put it when you have the finished product, all that stuff? Thank you."
Yeah, Hanson, you really know where to put it when it comes to podcasting.
Well, do you use Premiere because you're making a video, and do you just export audio from that Premiere
Yeah, I
file?
edit all my podcasts in video editing software, which is very strange. Yeah, then it's exported as an MP3 and stuff. And we host all of our stuff on Pinecast, which is a pretty cheap service. I know a lot of people like Anchor FM, where I think that's more convenient for like automating ads and stuff like that. But Pinecast is like really, it's kind of a mom and pop shop. It's like this one guy created it, and it's doing the trick for me. I really enjoyed the service overall.
That helps you get stuff into like RSS feeds and everything.
Yeah,
too?
and the best, like it was so fast for importing podcasts. Like when we had to import the Twilight Highlight Zone and a Fire Inside Out from maybe other servers to MinnMax's, that was like, one-stop shop. Here we go. It was amazing.
But also, if you're just doing audio, GarageBand is like for that specifically.
Yeah.
So
Also, a good reminder for everybody, it can be very, very cheap. Just get a Blue Yeti mic, which you can get used for probably under $100 at this point.
try to find the Fallout 76 branded one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like marked down cheaper than just the standard one.
Yeah, funny. There were some Black Friday bundles where you could get a Blue Yeti for $95, or you could get one with Assassin's Creed Odyssey for $75.
Exactly. And then you can just record podcasts with your friends in that. There's so much free software out there. Audacity is still an old staple. OBS, if you want to incorporate video in some way, you can rope it into that. It's a little more complicated that way and stuff, but not so bad at all. And then create a sound booth in your basement like Kyle did.
Yeah, buy some, what are they called? Acoustic sound tiles
There
from
you go.
Amazon.
You got it. Yarrow says, "Hey, Hen Banson and the LCLs, laptop carrying lackeys," he says. I think we've had this one before, but I like it. What's your favorite cutscene ever? Mine would be the secret cutscene at the end of God of War. Number one cutscene.
The secret, is this the new, this God of War?
Oh, it must be.
Okay.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think the original had a secret one.
That is very fun.
That is a good one.
God, Jeff, do you remember how good that is? Anyway, let's not dwell on that. Mine's still the end of Final Fantasy VIII. Like the fake camcorder of all of them partying and Zell choking and stuff. It's the sweetest thing I've ever seen in my own life.
I believe you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to think of, because I didn't play a lot of like games like that with like pre-rendered stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of Ocarina of Time cutscenes that stand out to me. Like I think they're actually talking about on Easy Allies recently.
Yeah.
About that cutscene that like explains the
Were
sort of
you
history
screaming
of
when they
Hyrule.
got the timing wrong too?
Oh, no. I mean,
I'm not even a huge Ocarina fan, but I was listening to that like, I think they're wrong here. Great.
Well, there's. I mean, the ending of Metal Gear Solid 3, I think is a good one. But then I think a more personal one is like I like the beginning cutscene of the Terran campaign in Brood War for StarCraft, where it's like all these Zerg like running the trenches, and there's this really long conversation between the two admirals on board the battleship.
Wait, were we just talking about that? Because
Were we?
yeah, we were, because you're talking about it's cool to see how big the battle cruiser is. And I was
Oh,
like, well,
yeah.
you see it in that opening cutscene.
Well,
yeah.
not of the game, but it's like because it's in the first. I thought you meant like the first cutscene of like StarCraft period. I'm talking about like in the Brood War expansion.
Right. I know what you mean, where there's he's smoking the cigar.
Yeah. So
Right?
that
Yeah.
I thought you'd seen a battle cruiser before that, but anyway, that particular cutscene I think is very good because it sets such a really strong mood for the rest of that campaign as being like real dour.
Yeah.
I would also call out. I don't know why I always say I would also. I introduce stuff like that. The Last of Us ending of The Last of Us gave me goosebumps. That last final cutscene.
There it is. Adam Srai says, "Hey, Ben and crew, what is quadruple A? I hear people refer to Microsoft Studio the Initiative as 4 A's, and I can't imagine what they mean exactly, especially since we haven't seen anything from them. It is pure marketing speak,
made
which I
up.
guess is how you can explain all the A's to AAA rating and all that stuff. But yeah, it's nonsense. They just want to call that like it was on the Army of Two Devil's Cartel cover story, which is getting a lot of airtime on this episode of the MinnMax Show. This episode is sponsored by Army of Two Devil's Cartel from 2013. But on that cover story trip, talking to what was the name of the studio that shut down? The Dead Space.
Visceral?
Yes, Visceral. Thank you. Talking to Visceral, they're the only studio I've ever encountered where they call themselves Quad A. And it was specifically Steve Papustis, who was the head of that studio for a while, and he no use for a name. He has a weird connection to like the band No Use for a Name.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in it. Is it bassist or something? I forget. Anyway, so the Steve Papustis guy, we're talking to him about Army of Two, Devil's Cartel, keep in mind. And he's like, think about Visceral, man. Think about Visceral. We got saying around here, and it's Quad A all day. So that was, that's my reference for Quad A, is just like.
All day. Yeah.
Just stop
I think that's
it.
the difference is that it's a AAA studio that just happens to do it all day versus
Yeah. 40 hours a week.
yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
And the term AAA started from the phone book, right? It was just the way to get your name at the very beginning
I
of
have
the Yellow
no-
Pages.
I mean,
right?
I think so.
I guess so, but in terms of like the video game version of it, where people see it as like the marketing budget for a game.
Yeah, right. I know they have adopted it. It has become this understanding of that means that you're a good company, but but originally I think it was just to get your name up there.
Yeah, I always thought it's had some sort of involvement with like the SEC rating things, where they'll rate like a certain like stock or something in a country or something like a AAA, or they'll downgrade it to AA or whatever.
Maybe that could be it too. Yeah,
That's where I thought that came from, but it's made up is the thing. So
That doesn't
Yes,
mean anything.
and adding an extra A doesn't make you any cooler.
we should run down a list of developers and rank and give them a rating of
Oh,
A.
are you ready for this? Or it's not a full game, but hey, bonus question: is From Software AAA? Asked Adam, and I think that's a really
I think it is
interesting-
now.
Yeah, I think so.
It is now.
Because
Yeah.
it's more of like
It used to be.
I think when they
Double
made
at best?
I think when they made Dark Souls, they were like double it.
I think it has more to do with reception than like, I mean, in terms of how I think about it, like if it's like an amazing, because then I would put like Playdead's not like a AAA developer on that definition, even though it's like I think they made one of the best games ever. So,
Right.
So now I'm like sort of talking myself out of that.
It's
but,
nebulous. We can't overthink it. It doesn't mean much. Tom Blackburn says, "Hey, what is the likelihood that a Sony first-party studio other than Media Molecule will make a PS5 game with Dreams as its engine?" Sony first-party, I doubt, but they were talking about how somebody was making a VR game, and so that's probably a third-party or second-party that was contracting with them.
I think
all
it's
this
more
in the
likely that
studio.
an indie developer kind of takes a shot at it.
Exactly. I think that's going to happen. Christopher Reardon says, "I'm sure you knew this, but Time Moves Slow from the end of Art's Dream is a cover. Remember that song? Remember how good that song was, Jeffem? It's a cover by a band called Bad Bad Not Good with a male vocalist. That song is dope, though, and I've been listening to it a lot since playing Art's Dream, but I think I like the Dreams version better with the female vocalist. Can you pull some strings with Siobhan and company to get them to release a Dreams OST on Spotify?" I like the idea of a Dreams soundtrack, and then it's just like a bunch of community creations and stuff.
Cool.
You'd have to get What You Looking At in there. Taylor Owen says, "Hey, MinnMax, did you know the only Fable soundtrack you can listen to on Spotify is for the unreleased multiplayer game Fable Legends.
So that Danny Elfman track's not up in there?
I guess. Wait, Danny Elfman did a Fable
He did
sound?
the theme, yeah.
Did he really?
I'm second guessing myself now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he did like the Fable theme.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea. Taylor says, lately a lot of soundtracks, especially Japanese ones, have been added to the streaming service, but there are a few holdouts. What soundtracks would you like to stream?
I don't think Donkey Kong Country is on Spotify.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but I would love to have that on
Just
there.
I think just Nintendo stuff in general would be.
Well,
a lot of old rare
Pokemon's on there, like
Is
all
it
the
really?
Pokemon stuff. Yeah, maybe not all, but like back to even like I think you can listen to like Red and Blue and stuff like that.
Well, then, Kyle, you're in luck, because the next question comes from Chris Bartlett.
Oh, I can't look.
I was gonna say Gravity Rush 2.
Oh, there it is. He says, hey, Ben and friends, I have a little game for you this week. Can you name every non-Pokemon game Game Freak has ever developed and released in the United States?
Oh, United States.
United
That
States.
simplifies it a little bit.
Okay.
Tembo.
Every non-Pokemon. What's that?
Tembo.
I need the full
badass
name.
Elephant.
Tembo
All right.
the Badass Elephant.
There we go.
the
From
only one I know.
2015, correct.
Drill Dozer.
Drill Dozer from 2006.
Harmonite.
Harmonite from 2013.
The one you reviewed,
Little Town Hero.
Little Town
Little
Hero.
Town Hero.
For GameSpot, right?
2019.
Yoshi's Cookie.
Yoshi, 1992.
Wario's Woods. There
He
was
doesn't
a
include
Wario-
it. Did not come.
Okay, because that was
There's
tricky.
like
'cause
Mario
there's-
and Wario or something like
Yeah.
that. That's only in Japan.
How many do we have left? I know there's a
There's
Steam game.
5 left.
There's a Steam game that I don't know the title of.
Yep. That's exactly it. Can you describe it in any way?
It's a platformer. It's
Yeah.
generally it's very underwhelming.
Correct. Oh, you're talking about Giga Wrecker.
Giga Wrecker,
There we
yeah.
go. I think it came to consoles too.
So I got 3 more.
4 more.
4 more.
First one is I like this game a lot. NES game.
Oh, NES. Okay.
Soundtrack goes dun 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 dun.
I don't think I know this one. I don't
Okay.
think I'm gonna get it.
Mendel Palace.
Oh,
Surprisingly
I
fun.
almost said Solomon's Key as a guess
Oh, sure.
because I remembered it being some kind of weird puzzly kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Okay, let's see. This one was released on the Sega Channel.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh, wait. It's a little robot, right?
Yes.
It's like a platformer.
Yes.
He's red. He's a red robot. His sprite is very large.
Pulse Man.
Pulse Man. I knew because I was thinking Vector Man. I knew
Okay.
it was a man.
1992, they released Smart Ball.
Smart Ball.
Last
okay.
one is 2016, and I believe it's a 3DS game that I remember Giant Bomb liked a lot.
3DS
horse racing
game.
one?
Yes, Pocket Card Jockey, 2016.
Wait.
Way to go.
That was Game Freak.
Yeah.
I reviewed that game.
Really?
I
Wow.
think that was Game Freak. That is a cool game.
Bonus question. What is the one Pokemon spin-off, not including remakes of older generations, that Game Freak developed themselves? Isn't this an interesting question?
Spin-off.
It's not Mystery Dungeon, is it?
It is
Oh,
not.
the first Mystery Dungeon? No. So it's a Pokemon spin-off. It's not Snap.
No.
They didn't do Snap.
Stadium.
Nope.
Stadium
It's
2.
Hal. Nope. Pokemon Quest from 2018. That kind of like Minecrafty looking one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there it is.
My kid plays that a lot.
I'm sorry.
I tell her she doesn't have to.
With a deep sense of regret.
Yeah. I'm sorry you found this.
Evan McHugh says, Serial, are you psyched for Guilty Gear Strive? She's looking crispy.
Yeah?
Great. Is that the one that's coming out very soon?
No, that's Grand Blue Fantasy is
Oh.
in March, and then Strive is still kind of unannounced, but I'm guessing it'll be towards the end of the year.
Right
It's
on.
crazy that how they also just released like an update for Dragon Ball, and they put Kefla in there. So.
Yeah, I want to check that out.
Right.
Here's one I forgot. Hey, Bob Buell writes in. Let's go back to the Erie town, Erie, Pennsylvania. Hey, for as long as I can remember when I was a kid, I had a memory of a room, the layout of a living room. So I sketched out the room, exactly how I remember it. Stairs, couch, mirrors, dining room, the whole shebang. I took it to my mom, and with a 1-second pause, she looked at it and said, "Oh yes, of course I remember what that is. That's the house we lived in when you were a baby." Turns out this was the exact layout of a house I lived in until I was 6 months old. 6 months old, says Bob. My mom was genuinely surprised at how many of the details were in there in the drawing and that were actually in the house, like the steep staircase up to the bedrooms, the tacky wood grain on the walls, what was an actual lawn chair next to the couch, and the mirrored dining room. I never saw the house after that, and as far as I know, we don't have photos of it.
How did he convey tacky wood grain on the walls in a drawing?
Are you doubting Bob Buell's artistic
No,
ability?
that's just impressive.
I think it's very impressive. I think you secretly saw photos of it, Bob. But still, I like this good Erie
6
story.
on the Erie scale.
Yes, very good. Okay, here we go. Nick L says, hello, MinnMax. I enjoyed a somewhat lazy Saturday weekend with the roommate where we watched several hours of DuckTales, which has an amazing theme song, of course. In
Is that
fact,
original or new?
well, it doesn't matter. They both have the same theme song, right?
No, but
He says they do.
well, it's a cover. It's like the same
Well,
lyrics,
yeah,
but
still.
it's a different song.
No, it's not.
Just let him finish the letter.
Jesus. Okay. He says
Curious.
he
Is it on
thinks
Spotify?
he thinks it is the most widely recognized cartoon theme song of all time. Can you top it for just recognition of a cartoon theme song? The Simpsons has to be above
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right?
I also
Probably.
I feel like on the list of things that The Simpsons is known for, it's not necessarily the theme song, whereas I think I would rank it a lot higher for DuckTales. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yes, for sure, but it's not quality. It's just most recognized cartoon theme.
I mean, I feel like the Ninja Turtle
I was
cartoon.
thinking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
okay.
Pretty up there.
Would that be above like Mighty Mouse though?
Yeah.
Like you think of like
I
there's
think
some
so.
weird stuff that kind of culturally.
Did anything Bugs Bunny related have a theme song?
Well, there was that
Dun,
opera.
dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's probably like
Oh yeah. The Looney Tunes theme.
Do you think that's more widely recognized than The Simpsons at this point?
Not today. I don't think so. I don't think
Maybe not
think
today.
kids. Maybe kids might recognize it, but I don't think they would know what it is exactly. You know.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, maybe that counts. Recognized, but not knowing what
man,
it is.
DuckTales is up there though.
Steamboat Willie.
Oh yeah. The kids
I mean,
the kids are all over
It's
that
like
one.
the intro for so many like things at Disney now, right?
Oh, that is true. Yeah.
Anyways, something to write in about.
Baby
if you have
Shark.
thoughts.
If
Baby Shark, yes, sir.
I feel like if Let It Go counts as a cartoon theme song, it would
no,
probably
it
be
does
up there.
not in any way. Musky Goron, great name, says, hey, after watching Sonic the Hedgehog this weekend, I didn't understand why they called it Green Hills instead of Green... No. I thought it'd be fun to make a game for the show based on video game movies. The game works as such. Each round, the MinnMax crew must guess the video game movie after being given 3 quotes from each movie.
Oh god.
So first I give you the Rotten Tomatoes score. Then I give you a series of quotes. First person to buzz in with their name and guess the name of the
And these
video
are
game
video game
movie.
movies.
Yep.
Okay.
Movie number 1. Rotten Tomatoes score is 52%. All my myths... I'm sorry. Already blew it. Okay. All myths are foundations of reality. It's the first- Jeff.
Assassin's Creed.
Incorrect.
Good guess though.
Visibly recoiled at that.
Second quote. I'm not flirting. I'm just naturally charismatic.
Kyle. Street Fighter.
Incorrect. Third quote. If Vogel opens that tomb, Himiko's curse will be unleashed on the world.
I could get used to this.
I could get used to this. Tomb Raider?
There we go. Tomb
yeah.
Raider. All right. Movie number 2. Critic score, 69%. Nice, says Muskie. Correct. At this point, how could you not believe in climate change?
What's the score?
69%. And it'll make more sense with this one. Second quote. All I'm hearing are consonants, and all I'm seeing are nipples.
Okay. I'm waiting for the third quote.
Jeff.
Jeff.
Rampage.
No,
Good guess.
no.
I don't think that one hit 69% though. I think I maybe know what it is, but I only had the third quote.
Buzz in, you coward.
Kyle, Angry Birds 2.
No. Third quote. Look, I'm a great detective, but I can't solve my own mystery if I have
I
no
can get
memory.
used to this.
Yeah.
Pokemon Detective.
Oh,
There
you
we
even got
go.
the title right
Way
too.
to go.
Oh man. See, I should have waited for that last quote.
All I'm hearing are consonants, and all I'm seeing are nipples. I don't remember that line in that film.
Is there some Pokemon with a bunch of nipples?
Something with Milk Tank, I'm guessing.
I don't think Milk's in the
Miltank in
movie.
it?
Is she no?
And that's
That
why it only
iconic
got
Pokemon?
69%. It should have been higher.
Oh.
Rotten Tomato score for this one is
Well, it would have been
18.
2%.
I missed what he's. I missed it. Doing the Shia LaBeouf clap.
Yeah, that's right. That's
which
what
is,
it
which
originally
is the Citizen Kane clap.
Anyways, Rotten Tomato score 18%. First quote. It's 2016. No one cares about freedom.
Oh boy.
Amazing.
Second quote. Now, I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. Third quote, we work in the dark to serve the light.
Oh, Assassin's Creed.
Yes, way to go, Serial. Way
I
to
like
go,
that your
man.
name is slapping the desk.
Yeah.
Well,
that
Yes, he
doesn't
said
count.
buzz in.
All right, 28%. Why do you laugh? I cannot see how you humans survive such a thing. How you survive anything. No muscles to protect you. Brittle bones that break. I put it in a woman's voice. I don't know if that's accurate.
Okay.
I turned this movie off. Second quote. Wherever Gul'dan works his magic, this land dies.
Can you say that one again? I'm sorry.
Wherever Gul'dan works his magic, the land dies.
Jeff.
Jeff.
Warcraft.
Yes,
Oh,
Warcraft.
nice. Good
Way
job.
to go, man. All right, 47%. Those were $500 sunglasses.
Jeff.
Mortal
Kombat.
Yes!
Oh, that was good.
Killing
That
it.
was
Do
a
you
Johnny
remember
Cage.
that?
No, but
Sunglasses.
that
Oh,
just
wow.
sound, yeah.
Very good.
Profanity.
19%. Kill them all. Let God sort them out.
Kyle. Street Fighter?
No.
You wanted
That
to be
sounded-
the
that
Street
was
Fighter
Raul
movie so
Julia.
bad.
That's,
Yeah.
I know, that sounded like one of his. He has that great Tuesday line in it.
Maybe it doesn't need air. It could have come from another planet or something. Third quote. Believe me, it used to be a lot rougher. There was a time when arc travel was susceptible to, say, major turbulence.
Arc travel?
Arc travel.
Arc travel? I don't know.
Doom.
Oh, okay.
Oh, was that the third quote?
That was it, yeah.
Doom. This part's in first person.
Yeah, the movie ended with them saying, "We're sorry you watched Doom." 11%. All I want to do is rule the world. Is that so much to ask?
Kyle, Street Fighter.
Kyle Street Fighter. There you go.
Can we get the other ones?
The second quote is, "Oh man, I should have stayed at Microsoft."
Oh, boy.
Third quote is, "This is the collection agency, Bison. Your ass is 6 months overdue, and it's mine."
Oh, that's all right.
That's
Good,
nice.
good.
Those are your wedding vows, weren't they, Jeff? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Oh, and I beat you to it. All right.
23%. Do you know what I love about mud? It's clean and it's dirty at the same time.
Kyle. Angry Birds.
Incorrect.
Angry Birds 2.
Shut up. Great. A building with athlete's foot. That sums up this movie perfectly. This is actually the direction for their set design.
Surreal.
Yeah?
The Super Mario Brothers.
There we go. Way to go. Third quote is, "Because you see, Mario here brought me up. He's been like my mother my whole life."
What was the
Like
first?
Osama.
That's a good joke.
First quote
Mud.
is, "Yeah, do you know what I love about mud? It's clean and dirty at the same time." Is that a Koopa
That's
thing?
Dennis Hopper line. I remember. I visualized it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fun. What do you guys like for question of the week? I am 8-bit question of the week.
What was?
That quote one's not
I remember.
I love the quote one.
I remember Grizzled had a good one. I don't know what it was though, but I remember like
Oh, the-
thinking
the
about
weirdness?
the weirdness. The weirdness was a good question.
The driving into the rainbow one, I think, is funny.
Well, he also won last week, and I thought it used to be, but
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Do the quote one, man.
Yeah, you can't top that. The movie
That's
quote.
the game, right?
Yes,
I mean, yeah,
and that was-
great,
Congratulations.
He had like 20 entries in there.
That's true. Do you want to grab the blue album from over there? Congratulations to Muskie Goron. You won I Am 8-Bit's prize of the week. Nope, incorrect. Serial.
okay.
The other one.
The other blue.
Oh, I thought it was blue. Is it maybe blue on one side? There it is. Yes, there we go.
Oh, Ninja
This
Turtles.
is the
Pizza.
soundtrack to Ninja Turtles on vinyl. Pizza on one side. You want to flip it around there?
And it probably has the most recognizable, a digitized version of the most recognizable cartoon theme song ever created,
That's
right?
probably true. Yes, the Turtles in Time soundtrack on vinyl. Congratulations. Album art by Alan Lewis. Again, if you're interested in any of this stuff, you can go to I'm8bit, check out their store, and put in the promo code MinnMax. We'd appreciate it. They'd appreciate it.
Very cool.
And thank you, Muskie Goron, for leaving a great comment. You can leave them in the future on patreon.com/MinnMax 2 N's if you support us at any tier. Thank you so much. I think it's time now for Get a Load of This. Serial
You think
Vasquez.
Get a load of this.
You say it too half-hearted, but I guess we'll go along.
Get
with
a
it.
load of this.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't know what emotion that is. Like you're gonna fight somebody.
I lost the tweet. My tweet that I was referencing disappeared. Okay, so
earlier today, actually, Kobesoft Joe,
Friend of the show.
tweeted that Inio Asano talks about how he uses Unreal Engine to make manga backgrounds. I urge all of you visual artists to download free 3D software and experiment with how you can incorporate it into your work. And the video he has here is just this guy, basically Inio Asano, talking about how instead of like drawing individual frames and stuff, what he'll do is he'll make renders of all of the objects in the scene, and then he'll basically like angle them, and then those become the things that he basically draws. And so that gives him a lot of consistency, and he can basically, it gives him a better like map of like what the scene looks like. And he was kind of thinking about like, well, I would like to do something where I just model this city before I even start like whatever I do, like the actual series, and then basically like have a much better internal map of where everything is for the sake of drawing it.
So he has like a 3D layout basically that he can kind of put a camera in different places
Right.
to make. That's cool. That's cool.
And it's a cool video to show it off.
Yeah.
Sweet. Love it.
So.
Jeff, are you following?
Great. Hey, get a load of this.
Yes.
This one's personal and cheesy, and I apologize in advance. But Minnesota has one more licensed registered nurse as of last
Are
week.
you married to her?
Yes, I am. Yeah. So yeah, my wife passed it, but the interesting thing, if you don't care about my personal life, is the test that they have to do is super crazy. It's run by like a computer AI that has thousands of questions that it draws from with all of these nurse, like different scenarios and stuff that nurses may find themselves in. All the questions are multiple choice, but they're super hard. So it's like you have to find the right answer, but multiple ones are right, and you have to find kind of the rightest answer.
Oh my God.
But basically, when you take the test, you get a minimum of 75 questions, and it can go anywhere up to a maximum of 265 questions. You have 6 hours to do the test, but it will basically, every time you answer a question, it will add it to its, however it is kind of analyzing your performance up to that point. And then it will choose a new question that it believes you have a 50% chance of answering correct or incorrect. And so it will keep on doing it. Updates every time you answer a question. It picks another 50% one, and then you just do those questions until it decides it is confident in your skill level. At which point it will say, okay, test's over. But it doesn't tell you at that point if you've passed or failed. You have to wait a couple days just to really rub it in. But it decides that, but at that point you don't know. It could go either way. And so my wife did it. It took her 2 hours. She got to the 75th question and answered it, and then it shut her off, and she had no idea.
Oh my God!
Because it's designed for each question to be a 50-50, she was like, I was not confident on a single question that I got answered.
What a nightmare.
Yeah. And so I looked it up, I said, oh, I'm sure you passed, and everything. And then I was looking up and I was like, if you only answered 75 questions, that has to be a good sign, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
If you were doing bad, it would probably ask you more questions. And when I looked it up, the internet was like, actually, no, because it all it means when it cuts you off is it's confident that that's your skill ability, whether it's 75 questions, whether they ask you 100 questions, it has decided already. So
how many teraflops does it take to process this?
I think 12, actually.
My
So
God.
yeah. But so basically at that point, if you're done in 75 questions, you either did really good or you completely bombed it and you're screwed. And so, I was
Nightmare
holding out
town.
hope, and I was like, "Oh no, don't worry, honey, you got it." And I was like, "Ooh." I hope so, because otherwise, you really screwed the pooch on that one. But
Yeah.
she didn't screw any
That's
pooches.
awesome.
And so now she's the only registered nurse in Minnesota.
That's
Is that
right.
Because
Yeah,
of that.
everyone else is reset, so you got to go take it again. I'm sorry.
Beautiful. Kyle.
Hey guys, get a load of this.
I will.
You guys talked. Oh, come on. My thing disappeared. Here we go. Okay, so you guys talked last week. You talked about HQ Trivia shutting down. But I wanted to share this tweet that you guys didn't touch on from Scott Rogowski, who was the host for a while. He left like partway through.
I did read his tweet.
This one? I don't think you read this one, right?
Okay.
Okay.
No, not this one.
So Russ, this guy, what's his name? Russ. It's not important. He's the founder of HQ Trivia.
Yeah.
And Scott Rogowski, who hosted HQ Trivia. So Russ tweeted in 2016, "Don't sell your company." And then when all this stuff with HQ Trivia went down, Scott Rogowski grabbed that old tweet and tweeted it with the comment, "Don't let him run your company," which is like, whoa, okay, he's stirring up some drama here. And then Russ just replied to him saying hugs, which is like, okay, he's trying to like level things out. Let's just be friends. But then Scott Rogowski replied, "Russ, you are a clinical sociopath. As much as the HQ employees didn't care for your leadership, which twice drove the company into the ground, we care about you as a fellow human. Please seek treatment from a mental health professional and get the help you need. Hugs indeed." Which is just like, what happened at that company?
Well, that was that
Like,
weird stuff
oh
of like they wouldn't let Scott do interviews.
Yeah.
And it was very weird and controlling, and it's just that Silicon Valley money.
But it's just, I don't know, like clearly there was some kind of strange relationship going on there that got surfaced when
I
HQ went down.
hope Russ gets help.
I hope he does get help.
There we go.
Yeah. It's just crazy to see that kind of like discussion happening on Twitter,
Yeah. Vile. I don't know what I'm looking for. Just hostility on Twitter.
I get, but it's like a weird hostility where he's also like, but please, like, seek out some help. You need help. We care about you as a
that's meant
person.
as a dig.
Oh yeah, for sure.
More than anything else.
I don't know.
It's not
I thought it was an interesting tweet.
Yes, for sure. Good follow up. Get a load of this. But hey, everybody, get a load of this. Are y'all looking forward to the new film Homeward?
I think I know this.
Is that the Pixar film?
That's right.
Onward.
Well, Cartoon Brew posted a trailer for a new film called Homeward. And here's the description from Cartoon Brew. It's from The Asylum. The Asylum is the studio behind the Sharknado franchise and Sci-Fi Z Nation. And in 2016, they began producing animated mockbusters, as they put it. Starting with Izzy's Way Home, inspired by Disney Pixar's Finding Dory. Since then, they've also released Trollland, inspired by DreamWorks' Trolls, and Cargo, inspired by Cars 3. Per the synopsis, Homeward, quote, follows a boastful elf and his prank-happy orc brother who must learn to work together to stop a fiendish orc gang from retrieving a magical stone that will give them the power to take over the world. The film's headlining voice actors are Joey Lawrence and Tom Green. On the poster, the tagline says, "An orctastic journey of elvish proportions." It's like the clumsiest shoe I've ever seen.
I was like, wait, hold on.
And watching the trailer, it is so bizarre. So it's just like the second Pixar announces a film, it's like, okay, we need to make this cheap version to accidentally fool people.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being like the director of that movie, though? Like, how much do you try? How much are you proud of this thing? Because it's not like a joke. They're sincerely making this movie.
They're trying to piggyback off the marketing that's going to be pushing Onward, right?
Right.
How good or bad is the animation for it?
It's not great. It's not good at all. But it's not like hilarious, made on the internet, or like one of those like Korean animating the news type of things. Yeah. It's a notch above that.
But it seems like for cash-in mock movies, that seems like the most expensive way to go.
I know.
It's not like the scary movie scenario where you can get just a bunch of dumb nobodies making jokes.
Right. I don't understand it, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Homeward. Maybe we'll do a spoilers.
Did you guys see, like, I remember growing up in grocery stores and stuff, like when Lion King came out, there was like the VHSs of like King of the Lions and stuff like that.
It wasn't that other, was it that French or Japanese?
No,
Okay.
no. I know it was Japanese. It was Kimba the White Lion. But that has always been around. Like, it's always people just trying to piggyback off of like what Disney is doing. It's a weird thing.
It's gross. Anyways, on that note, hey, that's the MinnMax show this week. Thank you so much for listening or watching. We appreciate it. We have the kind of relaunch coming soon, which should be exciting for people, so please look forward to that. It's a good time to support us on Patreon at the end of the month here, and you can, if you support us at the $100 tier, you can be on the Wall of Heroes, get any picture you want back there throughout the entire month, so your dog, your cat, your fish, your loved ones.
The diagram of the house you grew up in until you were 6 months old.
That's right.
That would be good.
Your face, whatever you want, hopefully something that makes us laugh in good taste can go on the screen back there. Otherwise, $50 supporters will send out a custom thank you video, and also your name gets in the description of every episode of the podcast here. But we'll be rearranging some things in the near future, so please look forward to that. Without further ado, be good, have fun, let's go, bye! So Jeff, from Dragon Quest, your story, it's like, well, that's weird. Why didn't they just call this Dragon Quest V or Hand of the Heavenly Bride or something?
Dragon Quest the movie.
And it turns out that
wait. Should we? I just want to like make sure we have like the table set. Like this movie, up until this point, it's been 2 hours. Are we going straight to the ending? Is that what
An
you're
hour
doing?
and a half.
Of course.
Almost, I think.
Okay, yeah, like hour and a half. It has been just a straight on fantasy movie, right? Like you're watching the life of this hero. He gets married. He has children. Like
turns into stone.
He's trying to fight
all the
evil.
things a parent does.
Just takes place in this very like realistic world, and then
and then he goes up against the final boss, and then everything pauses. This digitized.
Well, like it's even so much as like you defeat the fight, like they're fighting the final bad guy or whatever, and he's like trying to summon somebody, and I think your child, like the main character's child, is able to defeat him, and I think he sends him up into a cloud or something, and it's like, all right, we did it, and then
win.
then and there, time stops,
and then like this digitized beam
Like
comes
pillar,
down.
yeah.
And then it, much like Sonic, then the main character's like, wait, what is happening? Why am I the only person alive? And just the look of like pixelated beams that are shooting down from this thing is like, what is happening? Turns out it's a virus that was injected into the game, and it turns out
they reveal you're playing a game the whole time.
it's all a VR simulation of somebody who loves Dragon Quest. And then he has to use his love of the Dragon Quest series, and it shows him going back and playing the game on Super Famicom and stuff.
Wait, so is that the implication that he went back and played through the game again?
No, but just like it threw back to like, you don't understand. You don't take my love of Dragon Quest for real, but now I'll use my love for the series to defeat you in this VR simulation where somebody injected a virus.
The boss even says like, I'm a virus, watch. And he's like, remove textures and the world turns white. And he's
Yeah, it
like,
turns to
remove
grayscale,
gravity, remove collision, and characters start like, what's the word? Clipping through each other and stuff like that.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is. I liked it.
Like that moment is like super impactful, like in and out of note. Like basically, it's basically the plot to Serenity, where it's like at the end you realize this whole thing's a video game.
Yeah.
But in the movie that is about like that, where it's like, yeah, you're kind of understanding that this is a video game because I'm watching the Dragon Quest movie.
If you look at it as it's not a great like twist because it doesn't really like make you
set
right.
up.
Like
it doesn't make you reevaluate the rest of the movie.
Yeah, so the substance behind that is like he starts having an argument with the virus of like, these characters aren't real, they're fictional, and like his argument is like, they're real to me.
Yeah.
And that's what like summons what basically destroys the virus and returns the game state to normal.
And they even enter. It's still animated, but they enter the real world where he's entering the virtual reality.
Because apparently there's a giant exhibit or whatever, like the mall, I'm guessing, where it's like, oh, experience Dragon Quest in VR, which is obviously going to attract like tons of crowds, but they only have one kiosk and one person is
Actually,
there.
I think there were multiple kiosks because the other ones are like rotating in the background.
Okay, so he goes in and uses this simulation for who knows how many hours, right? I imagine however long Dragon Quest V is.
It feels like a lifetime.
Because like at the beginning of the movie, they kind of imply that it is a video game because it's like, oh yeah, you have to go beat this boss. Oh. And they cut to like the CG animated version of the Dragon Quest like fight screen, and where it's like, hey, it deals 21 damage. It's
And
dead.
there's also the time he says like he's like, oh, I want robots. I want to fight some robots.
Right.
And he's like, oh no, how does he says,
earlier in the game? Like,
he warns you, he's like, look out, there's going to be robots up here. And he's like, robots? He's like, hey, I want to tell you.
Why robots?
That's how it went. That's how it's happening this time.
Yeah, there was. So there is a little bit of foreshadowing, and even there's cool stuff where like
Qtrude is an antivirus software that has been following him the whole time.
But then also I like that where he like drank this poison from the witch and kind of goes into his subconscious mind, all this stuff, basically trips out. And as he's tripping out, this is earlier in the movie, he's like falling through Dragon Quest like dialogue options that are like all old school and stuff. Like, it's cool, man. So there is like some subtle foreshadowing that this is all.
But like even then, in that moment, it feels like, oh, they're kind of making a callback to the game itself. It's not, the implication there is it's like, oh, this thing that is happening right now is part of a video game.
Right.
It's more like this is how it was in the game. Like in the first, because the first 8 minutes are like they're like straight up delivered through dialogue text boxes that are in Japanese, so you have to read the English subtitles. But like that felt like, oh, this is an homage to how the game was made, not like. It does not feel like it's directly implying that this experience is a game,
right?
Which is a weird distinction, but like it's weird how they do kind of set it up, but ultimately I don't know that it like the twist doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot.
No, not to the larger. It's like it's just a route for the protagonist to be like, I really care about Dragon Quest. These characters
just to be this weird ad for like, hey, go play Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
what games are good? Dragon
But
Quest.
Hey, it worked on you. You're gonna play 11.
maybe
11's great, man.
Yeah, it made me want to play Dragon Quest. It really did. Like I really ended up liking that movie more than I thought I would. Like especially after the first 20 minutes where I was just like just overloaded with like what is happening. And then when that stuff was, I actually, which you knew because like the son of the protagonist ends up being the ultimate hero, but I didn't know that. So that actually was like a fun moment in the movie too, like where he saved his dad and he's like, I'm the hero, I can use the sword. Like that stuff was cool. Like I liked that because I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But what are the chances you watch this thing now, or at least fast forward to the end?
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but this is Dragon Quest 12 right now. You're breaking through.
Dragon Quest is real.
It's Gutrud.